Oh, you all waved. That was so cute. Hello, friends. Welcome to our finale of After the Fire. We are low-key, high-key on a downer energy today. Pretty much everyone is sick. I'm a little bit hungover because I went to a staff party. Even Mara, Virginia, I forgot her fucking name then, is coming on a bit later because she's got illness issues as well. That she's doped herself up and hopefully will be back very soon with us. But other than that, we have everyone with us today. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with you all. So let's in the sense of brevity, let's go around very quickly and chat to everyone. So let's start with Jason, who is just on my right hand side. Jason, how are you doing, man? I know you're a little bit sick.
Just a little bit, but I'm on the mend, as it were, and taking care of myself. Looking forward to today's session as always, because
good. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Overall.
It's been a while, right? How long has it been? A couple of weeks.
It has been a while.
It feels like forever ago. Weirdly,
it does. But regardless, we're here now. We're all happy, or somewhat happy, and just taking it easy, taking it slow, and having fun with it. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool. Have you got anything coming up, or have you been up to anything cool on the old streams and stuff?
Streams have been put on halt for the holidays, but we'll be swinging into 2020 with a couple of good stuff. Got a few projects over at Nerdsmith that I'll be more involved in, and that will be announced forthcoming. But
nice.
Outside of that, outside of that, just keep on keeping on with the stuff around here, and nothing too big. I would, however, like to plug the fraudulently gay stream that is happening tomorrow on Encounter Roleplay. Charlie will have more of the details, but please, if you've got the time, it is a charity stream in support of Mermaids UK, which is just a marvelous charity worth the time and effort to support. And just a good thing to shout out.
I wholeheartly agree. You may have seen a lengthy Twitter thread from me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I plug it too. Please head over to Encounter Roleplay tomorrow, when they will be like a whole 24 players will be playing in a beige universe of beige, battling against it. But Charlie, what else have you been up to this week? How did Tentacle Tuesday's Christmas special go? I didn't manage to catch it.
Well, it was a whole thing when about a third of the way through, Tornado took out Will's power, and I became the GM, and I took over. And
an actual tornado. Oh shit! Okay.
By the way, is Will okay? I didn't.
Will is okay. Yes, he's good. Okay, that's his net is just in and out with the storms. Yeah, Will is okay. Everyone is fine. It just took out his net. So yeah, I ended up GMing that. We had a lot of fun. Anyone wondering about the Fraudulently Gay thing, it's going to be tomorrow 4 Eastern until 8, which is 9 UK until 1 a.m. Just a little conversion for you all. And Susie's going to be my co-GM.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that is all going on. We have a few people on standby, so I don't know how many people are going to end up in the thing tomorrow, but the calls and the bat signals are there should we lose people to the faceless stage. But yeah, it's all very exciting. Yesterday was the finale of our Zweihander campaign, which Susie jammed.
Yeah.
That was really fun. And then, so this is my last big week of streaming before Christmas and then the new year, and it will start all over again.
Yeah. There's giveaways and stuff tomorrow, right?
Yes, we've got books from 2C Gaming. We've got books from Zweihander coming in. We've got artist commissions, including little knitted buddies. My sister's been home and she's moved Pete. Little knitted buddy. Pete's my seagull. It's a long story.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, we've got a ton of stuff to give away that the community have very generously donated, including Virginia's game Space Hike, which you can pick up on Drive-Thru RPG, I think.
Yeah, I think
it's only a quid normally, so bargain. It's $1.30 or something. So check it out. It's a really good game about climbing up a space ladder and fighting space bears and things.
Cool. All right, I'm looking forward to it personally. I get to chill out, but kind of still kind of be involved in a little bit in the stream because watching it and donating and stuff. So it should be really fun. Sweet. Looking forward to it. All right, Tom. After your sojourn in the Reach, that everyone was really jealous about.
It was amazing. It
You're
was a
back.
lovely jaunt. I got to see. I went a sightseeing tour of the Reach. I went to the highest tourist locations. It was lovely. I hit the big spots. High Garden. I got to touch a dragon's head. It was great. It was like a lovely jaunt through the Reach. I loved it. I don't know what everyone's miserable about. I'm quite happy. This is going to be great. I mean, he finally gets to go home, see all his friends, particularly his best friend, Olyver. He can't wait to see that. He's going to be so happy. It's going to be like one of the biggest, bestest homecomings ever. So yeah, I can't wait. Nothing at all could go wrong.
It's already started. Cool. Good.
Yep.
That's the tone.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. And you play Tentacle Tuesdays as well, right? And is there anything else that you're up to coming up? Anything you're streaming video game wise?
Currently started Red Dead Redemption 2 campaign.
Wow.
Streams have been when I can be bothered to stream.
Yeah,
really.
fair.
It's just I'm just in that kind of mood. So it's probably going to be like either Red Dead or Outer Worlds or Disco Asylum.
Nice. All right.
So something like that. Yeah, you can check me out.
Cool.
But
it's in chat.
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, man. And our very own Black House Gaming Susie. Hello.
It's me, the fake gay prime, coming at you.
the alpha fake gay.
The alpha fake gay. Come at.
Oh.
You have to laugh.
I know. So I didn't. Again, I'm awful. I didn't catch the game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Did they capture the queen?
Kind of.
Cool.
Kind of.
That's always the best response.
After an elaborate plot where they pretended they were ballet dancers, there was a big demon battle, like a kaiju battle.
Wow.
One of the members was a mechanical, basically the Terminator. It just all happened. Everything happened all at once, and they kind of kidnapped the queen a little bit.
With the help of a cult.
With the help of a cult.
Nice. I pope in my chat. It was a time.
It was a time. It happened.
It was a time. For sure. Oh man. Brilliant. That sounds awesome though.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. Yeah, it's fine. It's great. I really enjoy it, and I miss that crew already.
Oh.
I know.
Well, I play with Jess on Monday, obviously, with you on the Alien game. I love that. I think she's a great player, and she's up for a lot of fun as well.
That Alien game, Lindy. If you watch this, I've not forgotten.
We'll never forget.
Never forget. I will never. I was at work today, and I saw the fire extinguisher, and I was like, a little bit as I walked past it. I was like,
you're just seeing fire extinguishers everywhere, going.
No. Not today. But I'm super hyped to get back as Myria today. It has felt like an absolute age. All of life has happened in between the last session I played and this session.
It kind of has, yeah.
We're all older, Susie.
I know. We're like so old now, Charlie.
I mean,
some
yesterday
of
really
us-
came for you.
It did.
Before you
Speak
say
for
what you're about to
yourselves.
say, young lady. Get back in your fucking box.
I'm just going to be quiet now before Charlie murders me, but really happy to be here.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday for yesterday.
Thanks.
Oh god.
Oh man. Yeah, weird energy today. Weird energy.
Weird energy.
But it's even though we no longer have Olyver in our lives, Don is here for some moral support and for some reactions. Don, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm feeling slightly better than Olyver. So
Only slightly.
I'm thankful for that. just a little bit. Yeah, no, everything's been good. I've missed this crew and missed this game. We had PAX Unplugged. I got to see some folks, but not everybody. Wish I could have seen everybody. Maybe next time.
Right.
Hopefully next time. I think that'd be awesome.
Mm.
But yeah, I've got a lot of writing projects. I'm not streaming so much in December or the beginning of January. I've got like 3 big writing projects I'm working on. and then 2.
I may know one of them.
And then I've got two campaigns, shows that I'll be running in the new year that I'm working on, getting up and ready. Really excited about that. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but you'll hear about that from me at some point. I'm sure everybody will hear me talk about it. So I'm excited for everything I've got going on. I'm hoping to have a restful holiday season, and I am here for moral support and because I really need your juicy fruits. I want to see what y'all do next. That's all.
Oh.
Ton, I don't think you can ask for that on stream.
I've never read Twitch terms of service. I'm not wearing any socks right now. Do you want to see?
Oh no!
Too hot, man. Too hot. Stop it.
Oh no!
Stop it. But thank you for being here for moral support. It is awesome. It's good fun. And as I said, Virginia will be here shortly. And apparently my Streamlabs doesn't exist, which is good news. So it's bits only today, friends. I don't have the spoons to run a 6-person game and try and fiddle with my Streamlabs at the same time. So I'm sorry.
They may just need to
for
change
apps.
the hyperlink to /follow Black Cats rather than /RPG Webby.
That might be it. Professional streamer person Charlie, should I change it now or should we just crack on?
That's all right. I'll just put it in chat. We can carry on because we have a lot to do today,
Cool.
including me finally getting Roll20 open.
I mean, that's a good start. All right, I'm gonna begin. Okay, I'm gonna begin. Right. Okay, where am I? This is what I mean. Not quite with it. Right. Yes. Okay. Myria, you're up first.
I don't want to be first.
Well, of course you do because you've not been here for ages.
Fuck.
Okay. You awaken in a single small straw bed. There's a light. The morning light just creeping in through small window of a stone and clod house. There's a smell of kind of dung, manure in the air. And as you open your eyes and you look around, the furniture in here is very simple. A couple of stools, another larger bed across from you, again straw, and it's a very kind of very poor, very badly put together frame. It's probably suffered years of having people sleep in it. Outside, you can hear the rustle of the wind, and through the cracks in the door, you can see someone moving from side to side.
Okay. What am I wearing? Just like
You're wearing some probably like a rough spun night dress. That's what you know it is as anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you were any nobler, it would be a sack with some holes in it.
okay. I'll get up and go to the door and open it.
Okay. Outside, your mother stands. She's pinning up some washing on a line. And her dark brown hair, curled beautifully, naturally, flowing about her shoulders, and the wind catching it. As she, again, in fairly rough-spun clothes, is just pins up some rough shirts, trousers. She turns, she says, "Darling, you help your father. It's quite late. I don't know how you slept so long."
Okay, so hang on a second. Right? Does this feel normal for me right now? Or is this like what?
You're late. You need to start
Okay.
work.
Okay. I just immediately just run to go help, I guess.
Okay. You run towards an orchard of fourscore olive trees lined up along in what is strangely this cracked earth. You know that, like, I can almost like imagine that stereotypical, like, cracked, dusty, almost desert earth, but out of it spring these large, formidable olive trees. On them are some young green olives that are beginning to ripen, ready for picking. And in the distance, your father is picking some from a distant tree.
Just keeps running towards him.
Cool. As he turns round, the face of Olyver greets you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my Myria, my girl, my birthday girl.
Oh, okay. She would just run up and hug him.
He sort of lifts her up into the air and turns her around. There's this sort of strange fairy green light coming down through the canopies of the orchard around the trees from above. This little place here, this little strip of land, their homestead, nestled between two rolling hills. And in the distance, as he spins you around, you get a glimpse of the ocean, not too far away. And he sets you back down on the ground and he plants a kiss on the top of your head. He's got a little bucket full of olives and things that he's gathered. He says, "You slept in today. What have you been doing?"
Sleeping. Mother said I should come help you.
Well, I am almost finished here now, but you are happy to carry the bucket for me, if you wish.
She gives a very resolute nod, as if, like, of course. Big and strong enough.
But he will watch to make sure she actually is able to pick up the bucket and carry it.
Mm-hmm. I imagine she kind of like struggles a little bit, but she's like, you know, like when you're a kid and you're trying to like lift too many chairs to show how tough you are, even though it's a little bit too much for you, but you don't like. She's doing one of those.
He smiles and sort of whistles as he starts to walk, and he says, "I think I see your mother must have gone back inside the house. We should go in and check on her, prepare for the day. Is there anything special you wanted to do today?"
I don't know. And she's I don't know. I think she's very much like, she's just happy and content to hang out and just relax.
And he's happy to quietly walk alongside her too. Not moving so fast that he loses her if she kind of struggles for a moment with the bucket. He wouldn't help her, but he would wait. Get back to, I guess, the porch beyond the orchard. And it's this little green yard of trimmed grass and exotic flowers. There's a modest chicken coop. You can hear the squawking of the chickens. And the door on the porch that leads into the little hovel there is currently open, and he moves into it.
She struggles to set down the bucket without like dropping it. She's trying very careful to be careful with the bucket. And she kind of gives a little wipes a little brow as she sets it down and heads inside.
And he waits until she's inside and he shuts the door behind her. Oliver's wearing a very simple tan, unembellished sherwani with loose-fitting dark pants that are caked in something white and maybe powdery, a little bit of mud too. And once the door's shut, he says, "Please accompany your mother. I must clean up in the kitchenette, and I will be back momentarily." And he sort of steps through this archway. You would see Elise sitting in a little rocking chair. She's wearing her very simple dress, red with slight colors of tan and gold. and she's sewing. She's knitting what looks like a half-finished, maybe hat, or maybe shawl. It's not done enough yet. It's just the beginnings of whatever she's working on. But you could see there that she's got a large bulge to her belly, and she's very, very pregnant. She looks like she could burst at any moment. And she kind of smiles up at you.
Myria walks forward and she says, Mama, is there anything I can do?
Oh, no, just sit with me a little while, dear.
And Myria will just sit like at her feet on the ground, just content to sit there. I think she's got like a little comb and she's just like brushing through her hair.
And there's a window there that's open. You can feel the breeze moving through it. And there's that mix of early morning purples and reds and oranges, and then that sort of fey green too, that other color spilling through the opening in the window, touching the side of Elisa's face. She continues knitting, looking away from you and more at her hands. She says, have you heard any good stories lately? Or perhaps you've made one up yourself?
And Myria sits and she tells the story that she's completely made up herself of heroic knights and princesses and chivalry and all this stuff, all like fairy tale stuff, very grandiose. And she's, she gets really into it at times and she's flinging her little arms around and she like stands up and jumps around when she's describing the monster. But there's like a lot of like love and joy, and just like seeing her mum like reacting to her is just completely fueling her. She's like off a rocker when kids start going. She's just gone.
And Elise, as you're telling the story, she continues to knit. She only looks up at you a few times, but every once in a while she'll give out a, oh, that's nice, dear. Oh, that's very clever. Very surprising. She's not pacifying you entirely, but there's just a little bit there as you kind of bounce around the room. Right around the time your story ends, she's just setting down her knitting. She looks up towards the archway and Olyver returns. He's holding in his hands a small red velvet cake on a little plate. And he's smiling. He looks at a few marks on the archway that mark height over time. And he looks back at you and he says, I think this year you have grown the most of any year. You've grown so much this year.
I'm so big now.
Would you like to grab the little mark there?
And she gives a very resolute nod, and she goes and stands up against the thing. She's kind of doing that thing where she's like kind of lifting her head a little bit to make herself seem bigger.
As tall as she can.
Yeah, she's like properly straightening up her back and getting as tall as she can.
He, in the meantime, as she's getting set up, he sets down the cake on the little table there in the room, and he takes the pen, the quill, and he sees that she's stretching up. Then he gives her a little bit of a wink, and he even moves the pen just a little bit above her head as he marks along the archway. And he says, there, it is official. It is now your birthday.
And she gives a little conspiratorial giggle and hugs you very tightly.
I think, as he hugs her back, you are so big now that you can cut the cake yourself, and you can choose whatever size piece you wish.
Like she's like, because this is a whole new responsibility for her, and she's very, very careful and delicate as she does so. She's very deliberately trying to make the slices as even as she can, and they're not even because she's a kid, and like I'm 29 and I still can't cut cake evenly. But she doesn't take the biggest piece for herself. She gives that to her mother.
And you all three have a piece as you've cut them out. Olyver's sets his down on the table. He says, I'm still full from my breakfast, but I will enjoy mine soon. And Elise sets hers down on the table next to her. sewing kit and says, I will eat when your father eats, dear. Please, you enjoy your cake now. Happy birthday.
And Maria so desperately wants to be grown up and be like, I will eat when you eat. But there's cake. And she hesitates. And then she's straight into her piece. I mean, she's still trying to be delicate about it. She's not like, but she's still very much a child with cake.
As you're finishing the cake, Myria, you hear the squawking of chickens outside, and sitting right on the ledge of the window, that open window there with light spilling into the room, is a black raven just sitting there on the ledge, sort of watching.
Mm-hmm.
Olyver says, you didn't have to give yourself such a small piece. You could have taken a bigger piece. But if you wish more cake later, my lady, I can always make another. We have plenty of eggs.
And she smiles very widely and says, I would like that a lot.
Would you like your presents, my lady?
Yes.
Well, I'll make you this deal. It is your birthday, after all, but there is work to be done to maintain our home. And you are a good worker. Before we do presents, let's take care of the chickens. We feed those we care for. And that is why we stay here.
And as soon as you say that, she's up and off. Like, I imagine she's been sitting on the floor while she's eating this. Like, just she's up and out and she's ready to go. And she's like grabbing your hand as she's leaving. She's like, come on.
And he's moving along, letting you drag him. Elise stands up slowly, pushing her hands to her stomach and then to the back of the chair so she can kind of leverage herself up without hurting herself. And she's smiling, kind of laughing quietly as she follows behind a little bit slower than the rest. But the three of you step back out onto that creaking porch of the small cottage, and you see again the rolling hills, the little chicken coop, the orchard in the background, the gargantuan hungry waves of the ocean not that far away, crashing almost violently against the shore in the distance. The green light spilling down from the sky that sort of tints everything, a strange color around you, even the distant sea. And as you pull Olyver out onto the porch, he picks up a small bag of chicken feed from the front stoops and holds it out for you. Would you like to do the honors yourself, my lady?
Yeah, I'm grown up now. It's, as you said, I'm a good worker. And yeah. And so she takes it from me and starts feeding the chickens. Like, she cracks it open, and she's very careful about it too. Like, she's very excited to get back in to do her presents, but she's still very, she doesn't want to waste or anything.
And have you fed the chickens before, do you think?
I think she's probably helped feed the chickens. I don't know if she's done it on her own.
So you're inside the coop, and as chickens are wont to do, they run everywhere. They'll come to you when they realize you have food, but then they run opposite directions, and there's chickens just all over the place. It's hard not to step on them. There's so many of them in this, pretty small coop, but you're able to feed them, and they're squawking loudly. I mean, it's filling the inside of this little wooden cage structure. Roll me an awareness notice check.
I don't like this. Okay. All right. That is an 8. Ooh.
The sounds of the squawking fill your ears inside the space, but just for a moment, you hear another squawk, another sound, short, piercing from outside. You're not sure what it is. The chickens are still swarming you.
Okay. She'll just do like a cursory glance to see if she could see what it is.
You can see outside your mother in the center of the yard near those clotheslines where she'd been hanging clothes. And there's a handful of blackbirds, ravens just swarming around her, squawking, coming down close to her. And she's got like a cloth sheet from the little ring there that she had set up to dry, and she's swinging it at them.
Myria just dumps a bunch of chicken feed on the ground, grabs the bag, and runs over to her mother. Like she like slams the door of the coop behind her.
And what's she doing as she charges out?
She's like, "Mama!" and like screaming, like trying to help her get rid of the blackbirds, like shooing them.
As you run out to kind of start to shoo them, you look and you happen to notice on top of the roof of your little cottage a blanket of black birds, maybe hundreds of them, all watching down, watching you, watching her. And as you begin to shoo the small swarm away, I believe they call it an unkindness of ravens, launches off of that rooftop, and they all fly towards you. They all fly towards Elise, flapping their wings, squawking.
I could grab Elise's hand and try and run back towards the house, like covering our heads as we run.
And she tries to follow you. She trips a little bit. Her stomach's so full. She's very close to the end of her pregnancy, but you're able to kind of help her back up. I do need you to make me an athletic strength test.
Famously good at strength. Oh my god, 3.
You're pulling her after she falls down, and she gets back up to her feet, and all of a sudden there's feathers in your face, talons in your face. They move past you. They move around your body, around your arm, and then one moment you have your mother's hand, and the next moment you don't. You hear her screaming inside this cloud of beaks and talons.
I reach out for her, screaming, trying to get to her.
You reach into that unkindness of ravens, that huge swarm of birds. You're pushing through feathers and bones, trying to find her. And then finally, the cloud disperses. Feathers float in the air, tinted green by the strange light from overhead. Your mother, Elise, is not there. Just a fresh stain of blood on the ground.
At this point, Myria is heavily crying, looking around, panicked, confused, screaming for her mother and her father, wherever they are.
You don't see Olyver. The door to the cottage is open.
I should run inside, see if he's in there, see if any of them are in there.
You step back, you run back into the house, Myria, and you see 10 knights, 3 that you may recognize, 7 that you don't. You see Lord Blackmont. You certainly remember him. You see Lord Gorman Peak, if you've ever met him before. You see Lord Alistair Oakhart, if you've ever met Alistair. They all have their weapons drawn, and they've cornered Olyver back up against the wall. He looks beyond them to you as they begin to step close to him, and then his eyes steely flicker back to Lord Blackmont, who's nearest to him.
I think Myria just screams, "Papa, what's happening?"
He calls back, not looking back at you, although a couple of the knights, the ones sort of guarding the perimeter, do look back to you. "It will be all right, my dear." And a moment after he says that, Lord Blackmont drives a dagger into his gut. Olyver grabs the hand of the dagger, and he growls at Lord Blackmont, "You are no lord." Lord Blackmont pulls the dagger out and takes a step back.
She's just screaming, crying, and she moves to run to you to fight past these men to do something. But she can't. Her body feels like lead, and you're in a dream and you want to move and your body just won't. And so she's trying everything she has to get to you as this is happening.
You're moving slower. Your feet almost feel like they're melding into the ground. The steps are heavy. One of the knights near the perimeter turn to you and they scoop you up off of the ground. They hold you over their shoulder. Even if you thrash, even if you kick, there's nothing, especially not with how heavy everything feels. And you watch in turn as Lord Peak steps up to Olyver. He runs him through with a sword. And Olyver says, "You are no knight." Lord Peak pulls his sword out and takes a step back. You can see now that the faces of Peak and Blackmont look decayed. They don't look alive. They look different than the others. Lord Alistair steps up to Olyver and he runs him through with his sword. And Lord Olyver says, "You are no man." Alistair pulls his sword out. He turns, doubles over, he vomits onto the ground, and then he runs from the room. The knight that's holding you sets you down. And they all march out of the room with Olyver slumped up against the wall, holding his stomach. Only Lord Blackmont and Lord Peak remain, just watching. The raven, the single raven in the window, looks in, watching, judging.
And Myria just immediately rushes to Olyver, and she doesn't know where to look. She doesn't know where to put her hands. She just rushes over to him and just tears in her eyes, looking questioningly, looking for an answer that Olyver probably doesn't have for her.
And he just kind of opens up his arms to accept you in, and he says, "Shh, shh. There, my darling girl. Come here now."
I think she just sobs into his chest.
And he's kind of stroking her hair as she's crying. The green light from the outside is dimming. It's fading away. And there's something wet on his hands, maybe blood. It's sticking in your hair. But he whispers down to you after just kind of planting another kiss on the top of your head. "Until we meet again, my daughter, my love, my Myria. Be safe, be clever, be strong, be just, and be, most of all, free. I am yours. Until there is no music left in the world. Until the sun turns black."
She just lets out a wail.
You wake up with a start in your quarters in Castle Ironwood as the shutters are drawn by a servant. Daemon enters the room slowly, and then a guard is at the door and says, "My lady, 'tis the day for it."
I think she's kind of been crying in her sleep, so she kind of like wipes her eyes. "I will be ready in a moment."
They all leave but Daemon. And she walks to the window and looks out over the some of the rolling hills towards the coastline.
Daemon, do you have much stock in dreams? they tell people things or imagery. I just had the strangest dream.
I've heard that they tell people things, but I think people can believe a lot of things.
Yes, it was just a dream. It was just a dream. And she's wiping still her face.
Sure. Once you're ready, you head out towards the yard, and in that yard is a flank of garrison soldiers, Ironwood soldiers, headed by Lord Horatio, his mother at the front. Behind them stands Lady Jane, Horatio's new wife, and they are all stood paying respects to Lord Otto Ironwood. Lord Otto is laid on a slab of stone, yellow stone, and he is has been somehow strapped into some kind of lamellate armor, and at his side is the Ironwood shield, and at the other side is a halberd and a longsword. And you all make your way out to heading north over the river towards the Boneway. Traveling for about half the day, you eventually reach the one of the kind of cliff faces of the Boneway as it starts to enter that narrow passageway for people to travel through. And single file, with a guard at the entrance, you all slowly march through a cavern, a natural crypt that houses the Ironwoods of old, since the first men. Passing ancient lords, kings of Ironwood and of this area of Dawn, you eventually reach a stone coffin, somewhat upright, built, kind of carved into the natural wall of this cavern, and in it Lord Otto is placed, and then a stone facade of him is fixed into place. He is, from your sense of where you've come and from where you've walked, he is looking out onto the Boneway, and the respects that are paid to him by his family and his soldiers, household, and his knights are that he will now guard the way until the end of time. Marcia. The time has come for you to bury Sir Olyver. So, could you give me an idea of how you'd like to go about that? How this, I can imagine, Charlie's quite a personal kind of funeral, all right. It's not like it's steeped in history. It's more just what you could do, what you think is best, maybe.
I think it began early in the day. Olyver being dressed in his armor, Marcia having to get assistance from one of the men of the house to break a few bones to put the body into the form. And then he was dressed with spices and perfumes to kind of keep away that death smell. Taken then from that healing ward where he'd been laying and dressed, past the armory wall, And there the men would watch as his name is carved into that wall alongside the rest of the fallen, the devoted and loyal to the house. And the procession up to the Godswoods is much smaller. Babblebrook, senior, parts of other members of the military part of the household, Kiri, people who had more personal relationships with Olyver, Marcia, and so on. And they go up to the Godswoods. Small folk kind of have been quietly invited, but it's not been publicly invited as a massive event. It's much quieter and smaller. And already in the ground, besides the hump of Lord Lucas, is the place into which Olyver's body will be lain. And he's kind of slowly lowered in by ropes, as is normal. No one really offers any words or says very much as this is happening. Marcia kind of lays across one of his unruined sashes from one of his more formal outfits. His halberd is leaning against the Godswood tree, kind of a silent vigil for its master. Marcia cradles Bryn in her arms and just kind of watches the scene, her mind busy and her gaze somewhat vacant in a way. She hasn't said much to anybody beyond what arrangements need to be made and what action needed to be taken. She offers the space and time for anyone to offer words if they wished, but to respect that Olyver kept his own beliefs and not to press theirs upon him. And then she'll kind of move towards that fallen tree that has been worn into a bench and take a seat and just kind of sit and let people mourn as they need to. Her mind still working and whirring away, thinking of other bodies and other things that must be done.
Your grandmother
Mm-hmm.
sits next to you, and she doesn't offer an arm or a hug or anything really, but just the kind of quiet presence of herself sitting next to you.
When everyone is finished, would you stay a while?
Yeah, of course.
It's my hope that Mother and Father will go to Highgarden for us. But we have a few people we need to inform of what's happened here. And Marcia's eyes trail towards that great weirwood tree.
As you look over, Lord Costain is towards the back of a group of mixed household kind of soldiers, scouts, as well as your mother and father towards the front of that group. And he's quietly being respectful and looks very sympathetic to everyone around him, as there is quite a bit of devotion from the household soldiers, wherever they come from and whichever kind of division they were in, all really respected Sir Olyver and his time at Fox Hollow.
And I would like to think that Kiri would have made kind of a half-size halberd to place into the grave with Olyver, knowing Marcia's wishes for his actual weapon not to be buried here. And she'll offer her own words to him.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah, it's nice. As everyone slowly moves away, it is your grandmother that stays. and the last people to leave are a few other soldiers who at one point nudge each other, look over to you, and then you there is a whispering between them, and then they depart to give you some space.
And Marzia calls out the name of a servant or a guard that she's enlisted to assist in the next part of her plans for the day, and calls for the cart to be brought up the Godswood path. And the cart is loaded with 3 bodies beneath a makeshift tarp of dirtied linens and clothing, things that can be burnt and discarded, with it being a little waste. Well, there will be justice, grandmother.
What is this?
This is an offering. It is a payment. Something has been taken from this land, stolen, destroyed. He was murdered in this house by men who care not for any of the people of this land or for the gods. The old gods should know what has been stolen from them, that their family has been harmed. And I seek to ask their assistance in restoring a balance. Blood for blood. Tongues for tongues. It's not the first time they've murdered people on my lands, and it will not happen again. But I don't know the old words, and you do. I need your help.
I'd like you to make a persuasion test, please.
Okay. With...
Where is she? Ooh.
that Grammy Crane hiding from you.
Yeah. I think she's still in the old.
I think she's in the old ones, though.
Nabbit. It's fine. Okay, she's got a good will. This is rolling against her passive will.
Okay.
16. Yes. I'm going to give you a bonus dice though.
Okay. Persuasion, convince.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you'd like it to be that.
I mean, I'd like it to be persuasion, dedication, but persuasion, convince.
Dedication's not gonna buy it, I'm afraid.
Okay. So I have 1 bonus dice for convince, 1 bonus dice for muse. That's 2 bonus dice. And 18.
Nice. She says, "I had time before. I had time to prepare. But I can do it. It's just going to not here and now."
No, it must be here and it must be now. This is their land. These are their people.
She
And
calls
I will
out.
not offer them truly rotten dead.
She calls over, "Boy, get me the book." She describes a few books, a few parchments to him, and she says, "Don't open them. Bring them here." And he scuttles off, and then quite soon comes back, almost at kind of double time to try and get them into her hands. And she flicks through a few pages of writing that, even with your meager knowledge of the common tongue, this looks much different and strange, and it looks old, even in the way that it is on the page.
I think Marzia gives her grandmother a little space to kind of study and collect herself, knowing that she has asked a very serious thing and that it's important they do what they can to do this right, although she's aware of time running out. And she walks with Bryn past the fresh mound to the weirwood tree and lays a hand on that twisted face kind of almost caringly, and she hums lightly the song that Olyver had sung, the old Dornish song when they had been here for the Lantern Lighting Festival. They're not your words, but they were his, and they both belong to the land. Please. And she kind of beseeches in her own kind of common way. And paces, because I imagine Bryn grows kind of fussy because he's a relatively fussy child. And she kind of shushes him, bouncing him in her arms and watching her grandmother placing a kiss on the child's forehead.
Your grandmother asks, do you know what you want, or is it up to the gods?
Sorry, what was that, Sam?
Do you know what you want, or is it up to the gods?
I'm sure the gods know best what to do, but I do have requests. Perhaps they will listen and interpret for their own means. Things that I believe would be just and right, but I would not dare tell the gods their own business. And there is a tiny fleck of fear in her eyes, almost as a reverent fear, as she has come to believe in the old god's power, the manifestation of which are her two children in her own belief. I plan to offer the tongue of the Tarly soldier, to ask them to send a hunter, a butcher, after those who have hunted and butchered on my land, those who have spoken falsehoods and claimed to be friends, have eaten, drink, have taken from this place. And the two Oakheart men, I would bind them together in a deep, deep hole and ask that the roots that run deep wither and fade, so that no more tainted branches or fruit can manifest in this world. They are not my family, and I will see their end.
Your grandmother stands and says, the old gods know what we speak, regardless of how we say it and in whatever language, if you are speaking from the heart. And I can tell that you are speaking from the heart. She pulls off the cloth on the cart, and she sees the Tarly soldier, one of the unfortunate men that died that night. And she, quite simply, really, without any kind of ceremony, you almost see her just kind of like bend over the cart. You don't really see it happen, but seconds later she's brandishing a tongue in the air, and she's got blood down one side of her and a dagger in the other. And then she places it in the mouth of the weirwood tree. One tongue for a butcher. What for the roots?
The other two. And Marcia moves to the cart, and she kind of grabs hold of the ankles of one of the men, and you see that green and gold of Oakheart colors kind of splattered with blood. And she just heaves with all of her physical strength to just get this body down onto the ground. Even though her grandmother hadn't asked it, she's like, she wants to take part.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what to do, so she's just
I was about to offer you the knife, yeah.
getting involved.
For sure. She offers you the knife.
And she quickly carves in to the chest cavity, which had already been kind of hewn open by Olyver's halberd in the fray, and she cuts free the heart of the first man and the heart of the second man, and then removes other appendages and kind of binds it together with intestine, symbolic of what they had cut from her family.
And those things, as your grandmother indicates, are laid down by the bottom, the trunk of the tree, so that the blood will seep into its roots. The ceremony takes a fair amount out of you, I think, and heading back to the keep, you find yourself just slowly, almost waking from a daze, standing just inside Olyver's room. It's tidy, colourful, and with a large bed that's been untouched, where its sheets of Dornish silk have draped over its edges and kind of like creative angles. It's clearly been made. The black copper armour and halberd are absent from their armour stand in the corner of the room. But on his desk lies a single small redwood jewellery box. And beneath that box, you can see what looks as if to be maybe some watercolours. There's some maybe canvas or some parchment that's been illustrated on here.
And Marcia will kind of approach and look through, and I think she reaches out to move aside one of the pieces of paper, and there's a slight smudge from her fingers from the dirty work she'd just undertaken, and she kind of removes the hand, not wanting to touch or taint what is in here, what is so well kept and so clean. And
For sure.
She speaks very briefly and says, "You told me to get the men and to not let them get away with it, and I won't. But I will call for more than men."
Looking down at the illustration, you can see that this is a watercolour of Myria, wearing a silver locket around her neck and a Dornish dress painted in ironwood colours. It's kind of gold and black. In it, Myria is smiling. There is an unmistakable fierceness in her eyes.
Marcia carefully picks this up, doing her best to use her kind of cleanest fingers to do so. "I shall take this with me, and your halberd to Dawn."
Underneath that, you catch your eyes catch another illustration, a second drawing and watercolor of this time of you. It takes you a moment, but the dark hair, the well-rounded face, the slightly Dornish features are of Lady Elise Greenmont. Sorry, her dress is painted in Greenmont colours, and she undoubtedly looks beautiful in this illustration. It's a very flattering piece. Her eyes are sad, though, and tired, and her lips are pressed into a tiny frown. And there are several blotches, tear-sized stains on the illustration's parchment.
Marcia picks up this piece as well. But once more kind of returning to her face is that faraway expression, one full of planning and ideas for what might be next.
You're about to leave, and then the third and final watercolor catches your eye. Because it's of you. You look pretty and serene in it, and you're wearing the same dress that you did on the day that Olyver proposed to you. It's of you leaning against a stony rail of Fox Hollow's bridge, thoughtfully staring out into the sunset, strangely mirroring what you were doing, what you felt with your own expression. The bridge is painted with green vines and yellow flowers, and the sunset's light bleeds across the page with moody reds and purples. the image of you in this picture has yet to be coloured. But beneath the illustration are neatly penned Olyver's vows. That's a cue, Don. He said in chat she can't read. She can read.
Can't read.
Just fucking say it.
I'll have someone read it to me later. I promise.
Beneath the illustration, Olyver's vows read, "Through sorrow and loss, not born of spring's madness, but of autumn's wisdom, not fearing winter's coming, but embracing summer's promise. Together we will guard the way. We will grow a new garden where no thorns will reach, and tell our children the tales of the better world we will make. On my oath, as a knight of the Seven Kingdoms, as a child of the First Men, as Lord of House Ironwood, I swear to lift you up higher than myself, to share with you my every joy. I am yours and you are mine, from now until the end of my days. Forget me not."
And I think it is only the final 3 words that Marcia can read. She hasn't had much time to study or learn, but Lucas, she knows from the chair into which his name is carved, and the house words, "Forget me not," because they are everywhere in Fox Hollow, in all the little details. And although she doesn't know the other words, she takes this piece too, the 3 together, and I imagine she can find a ribbon or a string or something of that nature, and she'll carefully roll them so not to smudge or damage them any further, and tie them together. I'll have Myria read me the rest. I will move the earth and our children will be home. And she looks around the room and tucks the papers away.
Oh, is there anything else you wanted to do here? There's still the neat bed. There's still the ironwood redwood box as well.
I think she would be curious, but her mind is very busy, and I think what she would actually do is walk to the door and order that no one is to step foot in this room without her express word. And should she find anyone has stepped foot in this room, there would be dire consequences, and kind of push forward. I think the pictures, by their own right, are distracting and overwhelming to have seen, and a reminder of the next steps of her own plan that she's been forming since what happened at the dinner.
Sure. Okay. So then I'd like to move over to Briar. That's the next chap. I think after all the ceremony of the day, having had the names carved into the wall, the devotee wall, from the events of the other night, things are now quiet. But as you pass by, you notice that there is just one solitary figure now. A woman stood looking intently at one name.
Do I see the name?
Would you like to approach carefully? Not, I don't imagine where you're from you can, but you can certainly approach and try, if you want to try and look for whose name it is.
Yeah, I'll approach.
Okay. You look closer and just as you're about to focus on the name, she suddenly turns, as if startled a bit, and takes a step back. She has long, thick, curly grey and black hair. Quite a strong, defined face as well. A kind of strong jawline. She has a look of small folk about her. Particularly a little bit more of a kind of wild look about her than the other kind of, I'd say, like farmers and hamlet folk that you often see. You've certainly never seen her before. Do you want to, in this moment, do you want to kind of regard her, talk to her, or do you want to look at the name?
The name. What's the name?
She stood, and the two names of where she was, because of the way the wall is arranged, reads the few guards that died the other night. Above them is Alfred's name. Below those are Olyver's name.
He'll look to her and I know the Lady Marcia was for Olyver. Who was he to you?
Olyver?
No, the name you were looking at.
And she's like holding back a tear. And you can see some strength in her as she clenches a fist by her side and bites her tongue. And she says, "He was my son."
The wild boy. Saw him get handed that sword. She looked terrified. But from what I can remember, he carried himself well.
I don't care if he carried himself well. She got him killed. I'm here to return her blood money. Would you take me to her?
Fine enough. He'll step back and look to Thorin's name and just kind of motion for her to lead.
She doesn't really know where to go. The castle is fairly new to her. She kind of stands and waits for you, weirdly expectantly.
I'll let her step in front and just sort of direct her, but stay behind her solidly.
Sure. Where do you take her to? Is it like the courtroom? Is it so it's like the Great Hall? Is it her Marcia's Solar? Is it her actual chambers?
This is official business, so courtroom.
Okay. The courtroom is fairly quiet, but at the sides where there would be a people chat, where people are like getting a drink or getting some scraps to eat. There are a few people in here. She looks obviously out of place. She is, in her body language, she is obviously uncomfortable being here, and she's eyeing everyone in the room was with suspicion.
I don't think there's a one of them I don't think there's a one among them that gives that much of a shit. Let's just get to the lady, eh?
I don't expect Marcia at this point is actually in her seat on the dais. So what's the plan here? Did you want to fetch her here, or as is this a petitioner basically in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll call to one of the guards and ask where Lady Marcia is.
She just left Sir Olyver's chambers. She asked for it not to be disturbed.
Fine enough. Know where she's gone?
I think to her chambers, perhaps.
I'll lead Alfred's mother to the chambers.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to keep you for longer than you have to be here. He kind of smiles.
She doesn't smile back.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You lead her to Marcia's chambers, and Marcia, before you, stands a woman with curly salt and pepper hair. She, in her face, you recognize a little of Alfred.
Sorry to disturb, of course. This is shit. He just sort of whispers under his breath, considering he didn't ask her name.
I need to check the Discord chat now. Tom, help me out here.
It's Abigail, right?
Abigail.
That's the one. I found it. I knew it. Cool. Yeah, she tells you her name.
Abigail. Wild?
Doesn't matter.
Is there a matter I can assist with?
She is obviously trying to appear very strong and trying to appear quite have some gravitas here, but she obviously isn't particularly at home in like a court or in any kind of political dealings. And she like hands over, or she with her arm outstretched is a sack that jingles as she puts it forward, and you can see her hand shaking as she's holding it. And she says, kind of half choking on the words, quite stilted, trying to appear strong, "I'm here to return your blood money."
Marcia takes a breath in and then reaches out to kind of take the sack in one hand, but then her other hand comes over and kind of places on top of the woman's hand. He was a son of this house. I had him recognized. But you should know he was also my friend. I will take this back if you do not want it.
She kind of looks down at the floor a couple of times, receiving your words, and you can see that they certainly do strike a chord with her. But she then says, without looking at you, "This house tried to buy me off once. I don't want it again." And she continues to hold the sack of coins out.
I believe I would try and buy something from you. I wish only that I could have come to see you myself. I wish only that I had a son to give you back, whole. I wish that he was still here. I don't know what came before between you and this house. But Alfred mattered to many people here, and I wished... You're right. It's not good enough. Perhaps I can offer you something else. Would you come with me to the Godswood? I can offer you the ear of a gentleman who will sit and listen to any word that you will yell at him, to any charge you will make against him. Lord Lucas can't move from his grave, and there are many things that I wish to tell him as well.
Make me a persuasion charm test.
Okay. It's just a persuasion for me. I have no bonus to charm. Can I use reputation in this? No?
Yes.
Just give me one bonus dice.
Okay.
10.
Okay. She, like, her arm's getting tired, so she then kind of, like...
She's kind of, like, supporting the
awkward.
bag, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay, but she, like...
She's still, like...
Yeah, she, like, awkwardly kind of holds it back down and supports it with a hand under it, her other hand. And then, yeah, she would follow you out into the Godswood.
Briar would follow.
Sure. Is there anything you would want to play out there, Charlie?
Not particularly. She would make an introduction to Lord Olyver and Lord Lucas, but she would kind of lead it with the recognition of Abigail in kind of over them at this point, and would invite Abigail to take a seat on the bench and welcome her to stay as long as she'd like. Kind of caution her not to fear the weirwood, that the old gods watch us and protect us.
Cool.
Briar would actually just whistle throughout the whole thing, like just sort of
Any particular song that you'd like to offer?
No.
Can I hand wave certain songs?
It would be an aimless tune, like sort of the kind of whistle that you take on whenever you're bored somewhere. It's just something that kind of rises from him.
I think Marcia would kind of stay with Abigail for kind of 10, 20 minutes, letting Abigail do whatever she wants, but knowing she has a lot of other things that she really needs to get to.
Of course.
And she'd offer Abigail a story of Alfred going for leeches in the middle of a summer storm, kind of thing, to help her out when the men had returned from the rebellion. And also ask that Abigail make use of Fox Hollow in any way that she wish while she is here. And should she need anything to kind of take with her when she wishes to return home, that it will be made available. If she'd rather not have the money, that's her choice, kind of thing.
Sure. Would you like her to keep the money or not?
I think Marcia would kind of take it from the situation so that Abigail can focus on, dealing with her own feelings and the feelings about the house and her son, but she would kind of have it left with Briar.
Yeah.
And kind of trust that it will be handed over if it seems appropriate.
For sure.
Marcia has no interest in kind of reclaiming the money, but she's also, if Abigail truly doesn't seem to want it, then she's not going to force the woman to take the money either.
Yeah, sure. So I would in a way like Jason to make the decision. So as eventually Marcia as Marcia leaves, and then eventually as Abigail leaves, would you offer her the money or not?
How much is it?
Charlie, how much is it? It's a few.
It's like
it was the value of the sword, and I can't remember how much we decided it was. I think it's in silver stags still. I don't think we hit a dragon.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it 80 silver stags or something like that.
It's a good amount. Yeah.
It's 2 Thomases.
Tom's the coppers.
I think he'd just sort of clear his throat and hold it up.
All right. She takes it. Eventually, after all that.
Fair enough.
All right. Friends, we are going to take a short break there because it means that I could go bio quickly and we can get Virginia back in. So we're going to fade to the old video. Stay with us for just a couple minutes. Stretch. Make sure you get a drink if you need one. A little bit of grub if you need that too. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And then, Tom, it's your turn. We'll see you in a sec, folks. We're back. doing stupid dances. Because of course. Awesome. All right. So I promised Tom he was next. So we are back. We're back with V this time. She is in the chats, in the game. We both came off a very filling Christmas party time lunch thing for work. It was There's a lot of food.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had hummus as a Christmas starter.
No,
So
there's a lot of hummus knocking around.
yeah,
Went to like a Turkish restaurant. It was very nice.
they did great turkey.
Yeah, they did like
No.
they did like a weird roast dinner plate, didn't they? Anyway,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, Tom,
Okay.
you're
Hi.
up. Oh, unless Jason has something suddenly.
No, I was just like, can we just talk about y'all's dinner for like the next 30 minutes instead of continue on? Like,
Instead of the fucking.
yeah.
Yeah,
let's
I
let's
love that
just
name.
call a timeout.
Can we put that in the title in brackets? The fuck.
Susie, let's get that down on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
The fucking. It's in the description. There we go. If you're halfway through the YouTube video, that's why. Okay. Okay, Alfred.
Yes.
You had a mummer in tow with you
I
when
did.
you left Highgarden and headed south, but kind of went a long way round. Because if I am right, you weren't going immediately to Fox Hollow. You were kind of circling round towards where your old place was.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. But you wanted to drop the mummer off.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of like go near Fox Hollow, point him, say, "There's Fox Hollow." Get directions to further into Dawn from there, and
Okay.
then
Cool. All right. So you see him off in that direction. Once you reach your old cottage, why don't you describe it for me? What do you see it as?
Okay, so his old cottage where he lived with his mother is nestled in a kind of like a rocky valley.
Mhm.
It's got a small wood around it, and it's not a very big kind of cottage at all. It primarily consists of 2 rooms, really, one main room and another off for beds. It's got a little garden for like some vegetables being grown. You can quite clearly see a wooden kind of like a wood kind of shack thing on the side to keep it dry through winter, and you can see a tanning and kind of skinning board out there as well. It's very much it looks very much like a working cottage. It looks in pretty good condition. It's all logs, and yeah, that's pretty much it, really. It's got a bit of moss growing on it, but kept in pretty good shape.
Nice. Okay.
It's quite well hidden into this kind of like rocky valley.
Yeah. So they the tanning rack is clear at the moment. There is no smoke coming from the smoke hole of the cottage either.
Okay.
And you don't see any activity as you approach.
Okay. I will get off Wildflower and gently pat him, and then just tie him on the side to let him have a bit of.
Oh yeah, your horse!
Yeah.
I forgot about your horse.
Yeah, I'm not forgetting about that horse.
Shit, yeah.
Took me all the way. And I'm going to slowly head towards the door. There are windows, which I'm going to have a look in to see if I can see anything.
Sure. So, I mean, you look inside, and it is strangely like absent inside. You don't see your mother anywhere.
Look around, and in that case, I am going to check for tracks to see if I can see the tracks of my mother and in which direction she potentially could have gone.
Sure. Roll for me then.
Right. I do have survival track.
Let's check the old book, shall we?
Okay.
You said the ground here was in the valley, but we are in the Red Mountains, so it is quite brush-like as well, even though you've got a little bit of woodland and stuff around you.
Yeah.
It's nice that I can imagine late in spring now the trees are starting to get a nice green color on them.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. Let me flick through. These are all the qualities. We don't need those. This is survival track. Before you can follow them, you must first find them. Locating tracks requires an awareness test.
Oh, shoot.
The base difficulty is challenging 9, but it's modified by lighting, weather, and surface holding the tracks. So you can apply your track specialty dice to this roll.
Okay.
And this is currently day, so there's no increase in difficulty.
Yeah.
Um,
So this will be an awareness track?
yeah.
Okay. Well, awareness is track seems to be under survival for me, but I'll go with that. I'll
It
just
is,
add the
yeah.
bonus.
Normally it is. So I often switch up the specialties to different abilities depending on the circumstances of what's going on.
All right.
So I'll let you apply your track specialty dice from
Okay.
oh, thank you. From your survival, and let you apply it to the awareness roll.
See what I got.
So this will
9?
this will just be 9, yeah.
Yeah, I got 9.
Yeah, all right, awesome. So yeah, you find the tracks of a single person, because it's not often that people come to this cottage. You are very much out in the sticks of this kind of thing. So once you've found the tracks, you can follow them by succeeding on a survival test against the same difficulty used for awareness.
Okay. How old are the tracks?
If you get 2 degrees of success on your survival test, I'll tell you.
Okay. Do I add track to that or just survival?
Track, yeah, survival track.
Oh,
They're all coming in now.
oh God.
Oh, I can't track all this.
14? With one
Oof,
crit?
that is 2 degrees,
Woohoo!
because that was the difficulty 9 as well. Same difficulty. A successful test indicates you follow the tracks for 2 hours per degree without having to test survival. So they are heading in the direction of Fox Hollow, and you could follow them all the way to Fox Hollow if you wished. The tracks are fresh. They are a day old.
Oh.
Less than a day old. But this is coming up to the afternoon now, I think.
Yeah. Do you think I could make it to Fox Hollow before it gets too dark?
Yes. On the horse.
Yeah, on the horse. Go on then, yeah. Let's go to
For
Fox
sure.
Hollow. Let's go to Fox Hollow.
Okay. You head through Fox Hollow Hamlet itself.
I've got a hood up like that, so I want to be as inconspicuous as possible. But I am
on a horse.
On my horse. Yeah, I'm a traveler.
Okay.
It's fine. No one watches the road around Fox
No,
Hollow.
they really don't.
Mate, I was literally about to say, as you approach through the town, a couple of guards, garrison guards, and you can tell immediately they're on more of a watch, more of an alert at the moment.
Yeah.
And as you walk into the hamlet, 2 guards kind of eye you up and point. Another couple of guards step forward to your horse and ask you where you're going and who you are. Like, kind of like a speak your name, traveller. Yeah. What's your business here?
I'm looking for my mother. She came here less than a day ago. Her name is Abigail.
And the 4 guards that are now kind of surrounding you look around and say, "Don't know an Abigail."
No, I guess you wouldn't. But I do. He'll look around. There seems to be a increasing guard activity. I'm not used to this. Is something wrong?
There's been a killing at the keep.
A killing? Who died?
Sir Olyver.
And he'll kind of take a swallow and can I pass?
What business do you have here?
I'm looking for my mother who came here.
Your mother isn't in the keep. Go on. And they just kind of prod you away.
Could you send one message for me, please? To Lord Babblebrook. Sir Babblebrook, sorry.
Sorry.
Tell him I wish to see him, please. And meet me at the blacksmith's.
I would like you to make me either a persuasion convince test or a status test with a -1 penalty.
I'll do a persuasion because both the same. Do I still have a -1 penalty for both?
No.
Okay, I'll just do persuasion then and see what happens. 4. Nope. Oof.
No. They're like, just get out. They don't want you here.
Very well. And I'll turn and head back out. And what I'm going to do is hitch up Wildflower, just like in a stables in the hamlet or something around it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sneak in to Fox Hollow.
This can only go well, Tom. All right.
No, hang on. I don't see my mother anywhere, do I? Because that's all I'm looking for is my mother.
No, you have a look around town. Like, you can take some time over that, and you don't see her around the hamlet at all.
Actually, do I want to sneak in? I mean, it'll be fun, right? It'll be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be more heisty than our heist episode.
Oh, yeah.
You can just say hi.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. You know what? No, I'm going to go to fuck. I'll go to the blacksmith. Shoot, what's her name? Kiri. She knows who I am.
Isn't her forge in the hall?
It's by the keep. You'd need to pass the guards through the hamlet to get to the keep.
Oh,
Soz.
how much?
I thought that was pretty established in the game.
Yeah, that's
not on you, mate. No, I do think that's something that like Charlie has spoken about before.
Yeah.
I seem to remember.
Oh, I can't go back to them now and say I'm Alfred. That's weird.
You can.
It's pretty weird. I mean, I could, but it's still pretty weird.
Just to know, I just cheered in chat so Tom can have a bonus dice for Alfred if he wants to.
I'm adding them. So Marcy's got a bonus dice. Tom's now got 2 bonus dice. I've got a test die and a bonus dice.
Yeah, you know what? I know Fox Hollow really well. I'm gonna try and sneak in.
Cool.
You do know it really well.
I want to keep it.
Yeah. You do. That's the thing. Okay. So, stealth test, of course.
Why not? Why the fuck not be fun? Stealth, and I have sneak as well.
Okay, are you going right? So there'll be I think a difference in difficulty depending on the guards you're trying to slip by. You're trying to slip by the garrison and get towards Kiri, or are you trying to slip through past the Hollow Hearts and get into the keep?
The garrison, I know. I'm trying to get through a Hollow Heart is not going to be easy.
Oh, we haven't put the garrison up on the Roll20. Let me get just 1 second to get.
I might.
Those
do I
bad
have
boys.
it?
I don't think so.
Not anymore.
It's in our Google Doobie. So give me 1 second, folks. Sorry.
Just a green garrison. If anyone has the book.
Yeah. I hate pausing like this, but let me one tick.
Basic.
It depends. Well, it depends what one stat we upped.
It was not notice.
It was not awareness.
No, I don't think so.
I've got it in just a tick. Give me holdings. Right, here we go. This is the moment of truth.
This is where it is, and I'm like,
you
wait,
made
what?
your garrison, the Green Guard, a green garrison, and you gave them 3 in endurance, 2 in fighting, and 2 in awareness.
Yep.
So, Tom, your difficulty is 8.
Oh, watch me fuck this now.
So this is stealth. This could be sneak. This could be blend in if you want to try and blend in with the guards.
I'll do sneak.
All right.
11.
Very nice. Okay, 1 degree of success. So you take your time over it. You have to. There are a couple of tight moments, but you manage to make your way towards the rear of the keep to the outside. And outside there is small blacksmiths set up. There's a small like hut house type thing out there. That's a nice house actually for the area. And then there's the kind of the blacksmith and kind of a bit like a kind of open fronted stable type thing. So it's I guess she does farriering as well for people if they need horseshoes and stuff. So just got all that kind of setup. Yeah, but you've had to leave Wildflower back at the
Yeah, that's fine.
Hamlet.
Wildflower's in the stables. It's all good. I swear to God, Sam, if he's dead.
Dead horse when you get back. No.
So do I see her? Is she in?
Kiri, yeah.
Okay, I'll kind of go up. Hood's still up. I go, Kiri.
Which is northern, right?
Yeah, she's from up north.
Right. Watch Susie cringe as I do this.
Here we
It's
go.
like
Here we go.
Northern Irish. It wandered a bit.
Susie, would you like to role play appropriately?
No, you're right. I want to see this. Go ahead, proceed.
I'm gonna be really terrible now, and I have family in York, and this is just gonna like.
Fine, it's fine. You'll be all right.
York doesn't count.
be
I have
awful.
faith.
York doesn't count. It's like Edinburgh, is it? All right. Sorry. Okay. Do you want her to make you, or do you want her to just talk to you, kind of?
Oh, I'm showing
incognito?
her my face. Well, half my face. I've got the other half covered. But I'm saying, I don't want her to be surprised because I know what she can do. So,
well, I imagine if you say that to her as she's like beating this sword,
I'm out of melee range.
because I think we've also established that she never takes a fucking minute off.
No, she works 24/7.
Yeah. But yeah, like she looks over and like her eyes widen. She pulls back. She actually pulls the like blunt sword that she's got and kind of like holds it up like a sword, even though the hilt isn't actually built into it properly yet. But she's got this glove on and she's just like,
Oh, Kiri. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you or anything.
fuck! I thought I'd seen a ghost.
A ghost.
Fucking hell.
Look, Kiri, have you seen?
Alfred,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Look, sorry, I know it's been a while.
She just walks straight towards you. She's got the sword down by her side now. She's holding it away from you, but she
Yeah.
actually gives you a hug with one arm. Like she like holds you tight, like
Okay.
properly.
Okay, yeah, it's good to see you too.
Almost like she's almost like got you in like a neck grip.
You can
at this point.
totally lift me up, no problem. It's just not even. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, but she's friendly. She's
Yeah.
holding you close to her. She's just like, where the fuck did you come from?
Oh, it's a long story. I'll tell you later over a drink. But you haven't seen a woman come into Fox Hollow recently. She would have long, thick, curly hair, black and grey. Kind of looks like me.
I spotted her by the devoted wall.
Right. She's not still there. Did you see where she went?
You can just about see the devoted wall from where I imagine the blacksmith's is, and it's like almost because isn't it built kind of into the natural rock of the area?
Yeah, we had when Briar was visiting, she opened the door and she could literally see the wall. It was right there. It's one of the walls. Connects.
Yeah. And yeah, she is like, Alfred, you're on the wall.
What?
You thought you were dead. You're on the wall.
And he's gonna kind of head to the wall and have a look. It's Alfred Wilde, right? It's done Alfred Wilde, isn't it? Yeah.
Marzia, I think we did Alfred Flowers. Weren't you trying to make a point of it?
Well, that was after.
That was after, I think, when he
Okay.
first died, he wasn't acknowledged because Marzia was still really sick and Mara basically did everything. So unless Mara made it Flowers, it would be Wild.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
It's Wild then.
He looks. Whoa. It's kind of surreal seeing your name on this wall. And then his hand will kind of touch it, and then he'll go to Olyver's name and kind of gently brush it with his thumb. I would imagine it's still quite fresh, with the engraving.
There are, I'd say, like 3 other guards' names that you recognize as well.
What happened here?
Lord Alistair and his Orc men. They came into the hall, armed and armoured, to capture Sir Olyver. And he didn't go with them. So they killed him.
I need to find. I need to get in to Fox Hollow and see Lady Marcia, and hopefully the woman I was looking for.
Alfie, I don't understand. You're alive. People should know this.
Well, in all fairness, I'm supposed to be dead, and you almost brained me with, a hilt. I think it would be proper that Lady Marcia know first.
I'll fetch her down. And she kind of takes off the glove and puts her stuff back, like heads for the corridors. Briar is the first person. I'd like to bring you in. Like, Briar is the first person she meets in the corridors. As I reckon maybe there's something for him. Like, there's been some weirdness at the devotee wall, and he's just like, I'm just gonna pop by here now and again.
Trouble down at Forge, huh?
Briar, get Lady Marcia down here now, please.
All right. Just scoff at that and go to Marcia. Some sort of business down at the Forge.
And?
Requires your attention. Kyrie was insistent.
Very well, you should hurry and pack.
Pack?
A long journey to make.
Journey? I imagine he calls out as you are walking away.
Have I suddenly begun to speak in High Valyrian?
Fair enough.
All right. You head, Marcia. You head straight down to the forge, and turning right, and with the devotee wall down your left-hand side, you walk out into the kind of rear yard of the keep, and there stood by Kiri is a hooded figure now?
Yeah, I'm
Tom?
still hooded. Yeah, so
is a hooded figure, but Kiri doesn't seem at unease with him, but she's just kind of waiting patiently and politely for you to approach.
And Marcia kind of strides across. She's got 1,000,001 things to do, and everyone keeps pulling her in 6 different directions. What is it? Hurry, someone sick? And she kind of glances at the hooded figure.
Alfred will pause a moment, kind of take a deep breath, and he'll turn and undo his hood, and then he'll kind of go down and just bow his head a little. Lady Marcia, it is good to see you again.
And I think Marcia takes like a half step backwards and trips and kind of half tumbles, but her arms go out to like grab onto someone before she ends up on her ass.
Is that you, Tom, or is that Kiri?
Well, it's probably Kiri because she's probably close, but instinctively Alfred is going forward to try and catch her.
Let's make this about you. So you catch her as she starts to
Okay.
fall.
Okay. And as I right her, I immediately let go and stand. Proper and some more. Are you okay, my lady?
The old gods work really fast.
I'm sorry. I don't.
How? And like her hand comes out and it's like groping your face and like examining you, not believing you're real.
Oh, you can see. I mean, half his face is like horribly scarred. It's just, and if you try and grab that side, he's going to flinch back, and kind of purposely, turn it so you're not seeing it as often.
How?
A very harsh lesson in battle, my lady. I apologize for the delay of returning.
But you came back.
Of course, my lady.
You're Lord Lucas's son. Your mother's in the Godswood. You're meant to be dead. I'm glad you're here. Like, Marcia clearly is going through like 12 different emotions simultaneously and doesn't know how to process any of them.
Forgive me, my lady, but where did you hear that?
When they came back, they said you were dead.
No, my lady. Not that I am Lord Lucas's son.
Marcia is about to answer, and then her eyes flick to the wall, and that fresh name carved into it. From someone who would know.
He kind of smirks a little. Hey. He always wanted what was best for me.
I told everyone at the dinner.
Wait, everyone knows?
Just a pain sound.
That was the best sound.
Forgive me, my lady, but I think I really need to see my mother. It's been quite some time, and I think I really need to see her.
Oh, all right. Where have you been?
He kind of pauses. I have been on quite a long journey, my lady. A long journey.
And she looks between Alfred and the wall, and Alfred's name on the wall, and Oliver's name on the wall, and then back to Alfred, and then just kind of like throws her arms around you and just hugs you really tightly.
Alfred actually kind of goes stare. He's like, okay, and he kind of awkwardly, kind of gently, puts his arms around her. But as it goes on, it slowly gets tighter and tighter, and he kind of embraces her in quite a loving hug. Until Marcia lets go.
I think she probably cries for a moment or so, but then she'll take a deep sniff and kind of come back to the fact that they're in the middle of basically an open area of the house, and you should pull the hood back up.
Yes, of course, my lady. And he'll put the hood back up.
They think I'm a witch. They'll think I conjured you. Did I conjure you?
I don't believe so, my lady. No.
Good.
If you did, it was a very long conjuring.
Hmm.
Alfred's so awkward.
There's
Just like doesn't know what to do.
so much that I should probably tell you. Your mother. And she'll begin kind of leading you towards the Godswood. And she'll briefly kind of fill you in on the things that have happened while you've gone. Myria being abducted, Olyver going after Myria into the mountains, a battle with the Vulture King, the return, Alistair, Mara and Tali's betrayal, the birth of her 2 sons, and that Myria is safe, and that Marcia intends to go to Myria. Because there's very little of the house left. Is kind of the end point.
Yeah. Through all that, he kind of it's a bit overloaded. There's a lot of information. He's trying to process it. But when you say you had 2 sons, he pauses and one of the biggest smiles appears on his face. And he's like, you had 2 sons? Oh. I always knew the gods would be kind to you.
The gods do watch our house.
I always knew you would have a son.
Opened the Godswood to the small folk too. Time that we didn't hide the old gods from them.
Of course, my lady. That is your decision. And carry on to the Godswood.
Tom, make me please another stealth test.
Okay.
Sneak, please. Yep.
Okay. 13.
Okay.
As
yes.
a point,
Yes.
can Briar make a notice check to see if he notices this?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, you're a player. You can notice this. As they pass, there's this hooded figure walking through one of the halls. There's just, I think you have to trying to get there quickly, you take a corridor, one of the back corridors down Fox Hollow. But Briar, you are around, you are there, and you do just, it's like, who's this weird guy? And there's this second, almost a slow-mo shot of Alfred. You don't see his dodgy eye because it's covered by the hood, but he just looks at you. You get his eye just as you get his in that 1 second. And I think the two would know each other as well, right?
I would have known him only from a distance. Like literally, I would have seen him knighted and then maybe heard his name around town. But I definitely probably would have made an association with the woman I've been escorting like all this time. Would she still be in the Godswood, or because I remember I gave her the money when she left? Would she still be like around Fox Hollow then?
Yeah, she was invited to use Fox Hollow as she needed.
Shit. Oh, Lady Marcia.
Do you guys want to stop in this corridor?
I think Marcia turns and frowns at Briar like, what now?
My apologies, but given present company, I'm assuming you're looking for Abigail.
Yes, where is she?
Not in the Godswood. He kind of motions to her and to follow.
Yeah, you can know where she is if you want.
I'd assume she'd be like some sort of offshoot. Maybe
in
even
the kitchen having food.
Yeah, some sort of something.
You work that out while we pan away to Mara.
Oh no. I've got the comfort blanket.
Good. And you were at the towards the end of another long day, a long ride towards Highgarden. 100 hooves drilling down into the dirt of the tracks and rough roads that lead from the Red Mountains to Highgarden. There's no Rose Road or Ocean Road yet here. The first stop is Highgarden, and then you'll be travelling the Ocean Road up towards Old Oak. Satali trots back towards the column as it like almost tramples a merchant and their caravan off the road. They have to eventually like almost go into a ditch to serve it, as this column of knights at a trot is like clomping down this road. But Satali then eventually joins up with the two of you, your husband and yourself, and reports yet again no sign of any pursuers from Fox Hollow, or indeed from the Tarly Holdfast. I can't remember the name of it. And he's decided to still essentially travel with you to Highgarden. That's where he believes his father's going to be. But he does feel... Hornhill, thank you, Susie. He does feel a little as if Sir Alistair is paranoid. Maybe rightly. But there's been no sign of pursuers. And we can ride easier. And the men can take a rest. And I mean, you are exhausted. Like you ride hard all day and then like camp very quickly overnight and then decamp very quickly in the morning and then go again.
How much has Mara been told about what's happened? Because the last we saw her, she was just kind of with Alistair and had no idea.
Dramatically speaking, I think I'd like to say nothing because then we get to have a thing. Yeah, and I know you wanted to kind of unpack and question him about what happened.
I imagine that he's probably been avoiding her, like where possible. He disappears off. He comes back late. He won't talk to her. And I imagine she is so exhausted from that shock of something she doesn't really understand, and then just being forced to ride these really hard journeys, that she's been too exhausted to even really put up that fight with him yet. But I think after the Tarly boy comes up and says they haven't been followed, I imagine she's riding beside Alistair and she's tired. She's, her hands are sore from gripping the reins of this horse that she's almost kind of leaning on at this point from sheer exhaustion. It's part of the reason she's riding beside him, because she fears that at some point she's going to fall asleep in the saddle. And she'll look from the Tarly boy over to Alistair and eventually, with some semblance of strength, she'll say, at some point on this ride, are you going to tell me what the hell happened back there and why you're so worried about pursuers? Whose blood were you soaked in that night, Alistair? Are you going to answer these questions, or are you going to just ride off to the front of this as well and ignore me like you've done every other night?
He is like somewhat ignoring you. He keeps his face forward in the direction of travel. But then he also, at that point, stops the column. And for the first time in a few days, the column are allowed to camp early, have some decent dinner. So they'll need, a couple of people will need to go hunting or foraging or whatever. A couple of them go back towards the merchant caravan they almost ran over to get some supplies. And once the camp is up and the tents are up, Alistair and you are alone in like your tent, essentially.
I imagine that Mara is possibly still even wearing the dress that she had that night, having not had any of her stuff with her. And it's at this point where they've camped early, where it wasn't a camp out of exhaustion and then off, a few hours later once people had rested. She's actually changing for the first time, and she is helping herself to some of his stuff. Some of his overcoats, because this dress is covered in mud from where she was just left outside. She's still bruised. And as she's stripping off this dress and changing, and she's got her back to him, and she almost thinks that maybe that will make it easier. She's like, are you going to tell me what's happened, or do I have to keep begging? for you to explain why you stormed my family's halls. And she's kind of like, every piece of clothing she takes off, she's like literally throwing to the floor in anger.
Yeah. At Vulture's Roost, in cold blood, Sir Olyver killed Sir Gorman.
And at that, I imagine she's midway fastening up one of his shirts. And she turns around and says, "He did what? In cold blood?
Confess to it.
Did he now? You heard this confession yourself?
No, I heard it from someone else.
You trust the words of some other person?
I don't trust a man who won't come and face his crimes.
You don't trust a man because he's Dornish, Alistair. That's why.
I went into Fox Hollow to bring him here to Highgarden, to face his crimes, to speak for himself amongst a council of his peers, and he refused.
Alistair, you stormed the halls with half an army.
The man was dangerous.
The man was wounded by the looks of him.
Which was why it was a perfect time to strike.
With half an army. In a hall that you've been welcomed into as a
25
guest.
knights are not half an army, goddamn you.
It is when everyone in that hall is unarmed, unguarded. How many Greenmont guards were on duty that night in that hall? Not many. For a wounded old man. Yes, a strong, wounded old man.
A killer.
You have no proof. You have the testimony heard from somebody else, Alistair. That's not proof.
Well, now the gods have decided, because that man is dead.
That's whose blood was on my father's sword that night.
That's right. I killed him.
The man that my father trusted and loved.
Your father's trust was misplaced. That man was a danger from the moment he was born. A traitor. One of Blackfyre's top generals. Commanded a flank on the Redgrass field. Rode with a Blackfyre lance at our wedding tourney. And defied a chance to face a jury of his peers and be acquitted of his accused crimes, and he refused, and the gods answered with blood.
Alistair, do you think he would have got a fair trial?
I don't care.
Really?
If you don't fucking like it, then leave.
Oh, I see. And what happened to not lying to me or keeping secrets from me? What happened to that? You just neglected to tell me that this was your plan. Did you ever possibly think that if you wanted to bring him in...
We moved quickly.
You moved quickly. That's what you and that's what you were getting drunk about with the Tarly boy that night. Oh, a plan born out of drunkenness. Did you ever stop to think that perhaps you could have told me? That perhaps you could have explained what you've heard, that perhaps I could have spoken to him, convinced him to go to Highgarden?
And perhaps you could have spoken to him exactly.
What did you think he would do? Run?
Probably.
He was marrying Marzia. He was securing the Greenmont house.
How is Ironwood going to secure the Greenmont house?
Who else is going to? Who else could be trusted to?
Anyone in the Reach.
You really believe that he would kill Peak in cold blood? Why? Why? Why would he admit to it?
There's clearly something going on here. Something going on with him, with Blackmont, and with Myria.
He saved my sister. She is safe because of him.
Did he save your sister, or did he take her from Blackmont's hands and secure her at his own holdfast, which is exactly what he's done? Myria is at Ironwood right now,
She's not a prisoner. That's her. He was her godfather, Alistair.
There is something here. Something is going on.
Alistair, I believe that something's going on, but I honestly believe that whoever told you that perhaps didn't know a full truth. There are plenty of people that didn't like Sir Olyver. He was Dornish for one, and you know what that hatred is like. It runs deep here in the Reach. Did it ever cross your mind it could have been a lie? Who? Who told you? Tell me. If you trust them so deeply, tell me who.
Olyver confessed to Lord Mathos. In his own words,
And what reason have you to trust this man?
that he is a fellow Lord of the Reach.
Lords of the Reach lie to each other every single day. Lords of the Reach scheme and plan every single day.
So you don't believe that Sir Olyver killed Sir Gorman?
I don't know what I believe, but I'd like to think that I would have taken more than just a single man's word for it.
The man was confessed to by Sir Olyver.
You don't know that. You only know that somebody told you that. Alistair, if I left here and said that you'd confess to murdering somebody...
Then I would be held accountable to that. Because you are a lady of the Reach, and your word carries weight. Like all of ours does.
Your promise to me carried weight. Your promise not to hide things from me. And yet you did. You could have told me. You could have asked me not to speak to him. You could have told me you were going to arrest him. I wouldn't have warned him. I wouldn't have gone behind your back. You're my husband.
I honestly worry that you would have.
I meant it when I said I was part of this house, when I was loyal to you. What if I'd have been in that hall, Alistair? Because there was a lot of blood. I don't know how many men were killed. I don't know how many innocent people were killed, but what if I was in that hall? Was Marzia in that hall? Who else was injured?
Some guards. Lady Marzia was not injured, don't worry.
What if she had been, though? One stray sword blow.
Yes, it was dangerous. She is not harmed.
Isn't she? Isn't she? She's just lost one of her sons. Warded off. Without really any say of her own.
A son
and
she
now
can get back. Surely she knows where Myria is by now.
Presumably, yes.
If you wanted to save Myria, this is the way that we can save Myria.
And how do we get her back now? March to Ironwood and demand they open their gates and hand her over?
Yes.
After you killed their son. Just please think about that for a moment, Alistair. Who are we marching to Dawn with?
In exile.
They opened the gates to him so he could get Myria there. I'm sure that counted for something. And how are we going to march to Dawn? We could barely march to Vulture's Roost without Maekar sending a host after everybody.
Why do you think we're at Highgarden? We can do the right thing. We can speak to the right people. We can get word to Maekar, and he can get his ward back.
She's been branded a traitor. The only people that could vouch for her innocence are dead. One of them by your hand. What do you think he's going to do when he gets hold of her, Alistair? He'll kill her. He'll kill her to make an example.
Not if we tell him about the supposed conspiracy. About Blackmont rescuing her. About Olyver securing her in his old holdfast.
you truly believe that? You look me in the eye and tell me you believe this, and this wasn't because something was offered or somebody convinced you or you had one too many drinks with that Tarly boy.
It is a good story. It holds true. Think about what he's done. Think about what Lord Blackmont did. Think about it. Please think about it. Because you have to admit, there is something in this.
Alistair, I don't doubt that there is something in this. I just don't know if that was it.
But if it is it, then Myria is no longer a traitor.
That is true. And she's like, there are tears welling up in her eyes, but she's so clouded by anger in this moment, she can't even bring herself to be upset. It's like the news of Olyver dying hasn't sunken in. It's almost like this feels like a hypothetical discussion to her at this point that hasn't hit her. But you didn't trust me. You didn't trust me. You lied to me. You went behind my back, Alistair, after you promised me, and your words carry weight. You think I wouldn't be loyal to you? I rode into a battlefield. I rode across a battlefield, across men dying, to make sure that you could leave before Maekar showed up. I came with you because I didn't want to leave your side in case somebody tried to manipulate you, in case somebody tried to cause harm to you, and you still didn't trust me.
Honesty is one of our strengths. And I do not countenance the vow I made to you about that. But if you still hold that true, look me in the eyes and tell me that if I had told you what we were going to do, that you would not have spoken to Sir Olyver.
Not if you'd asked me not to. Not if you'd actually told me what you wanted. Perhaps we could have actually done something that maybe didn't cause so much bloodshed. If he truly was guilty of those crimes, Alistair, I would want him to face trial for them too. But I wouldn't want him to die by my own father's sword because he was scared and afraid that the people that would take him might just kill him anyway. How would you feel if 25 armed men showed up at a feast where you just announced your wedding?
Then I would probably have gone with them and not been as stupid.
You are my husband, and if I walk out of here, I have nothing. And then I lose every man in my life that I ever actually cared about. I can't tell you that I believe this conspiracy. I'm willing to trust that you believe there is something in it. But you cannot blame me for wanting to see proof, proper proof. That man helped bring me up. He's godfather to my sister. You can't ask me to just accept he was a bad person on the merit of one man.
I don't think he was a bad man. I think he was an evil man. Hateful. Deep down.
Hateful. That man protected me for half of my life. That man took me down the altar when my own father died on the way to our wedding. Evil.
But ask yourself, he came into the service of your house, a Reacher house, on the edge of the Dornish marches, only because he'd been exiled from his own lands.
And he served my father loyally for years. He continued to try and look after his children even after his death. Alistair, I am willing to believe that you believe this. I am willing to be shown proof. I'm willing to hear proof of the truth if Olyver did commit these crimes, but I will not condemn him without that. You are entitled to do so if you believe you have seen the proof that you need to see, but I have heard nothing of this. I have seen nothing of this. What kind of person would I be if I didn't see that for myself?
Then what kind of proof do you need? What would you really need to see to believe it?
I want to hear this confession for myself, from the lips of the man that told it to you. If anybody here knows what the words of Sir Olyver would sound like, it would be me. I grew up with him.
This is madness. A moment ago you were saying that you did not... I should not trust that man. That I should not trust Lord Mathos.
But you do trust him.
Yes,
and I care for you,
him.
and I trust you. I trust you to let me make a judgment for myself.
If speaking to Lord Mathos is what it would take, then I'm sure once, if he arrives back at Highgarden, or if we can reach out to him by Raven, that he would answer this as well.
And it's at this point she starts crying, and she sits down on any kind of semblance of furniture-like stuff they would have here, a seat, a trunk, something.
Also kind of Roman-style stools with the canvas on top.
And she just sits, and she's abandoned buttoning up the rest of this shirt, and she's kind of just sat there clutching at, I imagine, like a pair of his trousers that she's put on. If he is dead, then he is dead, and you will not stop me mourning for him, though.
I wasn't going to. I do understand how much he meant to you.
The first thing you're going to do is clean my father's sword of his blood. And I want to hear you say it, Alistair. I want you to apologise to me right now for lying to me, for not telling me. Because if you're not sorry for that,
he gets up, he takes your father's sword, and then he holds your face in one hand. And looking into your eyes, he says, "I'm sorry for not telling you."
Whether you did right or wrong by what you did, even I couldn't judge. That's for the gods. Only they really know if a man is guilty or not. But I made you a vow to stand by you, and I'm going to, and you know they're going to come after you for this, Alistair. I refuse to tell you you were right in what you did. You need to make this right. If you did what you did to save Myria, to help my house, you've gone this far. Now you actually have to keep her safe. Now you have to help me find a way to get my brother back to Marcia. Because I can never step foot in Foxhollow again. Do you know that? My family, if I stand by, you will never let me step foot there again. So if you truly did what you did for the reasons you're telling me, then you make this right. And she just gives him like a long, hard stare. You never hide something from me again. ever.
Ever. And he makes his way out of the tent.
And it's when he leaves, she breaks down. That's her moment. The man that brought her up is dead by her husband's hand, and she is torn because she can't go. If she goes back to Fox Hollow, her life as she knows it is gone. Her chances of getting remarried to somebody that treats her the way that Alistair does for the most part is unlikely. She doesn't even know if they would take her back, if they believe that she knew about this all along. And she takes her vows and honesty seriously. And she knows now that, that there's a pragmatic bit of her, the pragmatic bit of her that she got from her mother that says, Olyver is dead and you can't change that. The only thing you can do now is do what you can do from here. And it's that logic bit of her mother that she's trying to let overtake this horrible sense of just nothingness that's washing over her in this moment as she realizes. And probably for the first time in a long time, she prays to the gods. She prays that there's some truth in this. She prays that her husband hasn't made a terrible mistake. She prays for Marcia and for Myria. And that's what she'll do for the rest of the time that they're camped there until Alistair returns, because she doesn't know what else to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Myria.
Oh, don't come back to me. I'm so mad. I'm mad.
The betrayal is real.
Oh,
I love you.
mm-hmm. Sure.
You've got to admit it's a convincing argument.
No, it's fucking not.
I mean, it kind of is.
Very cool. Looking from outside.
Nope.
Especially,
Bollocks.
especially Mara already believing something was going on. She doesn't know if it's that, but she knew something was going on.
All right, Sam, let's dance.
All right. You are training in the yard with Daira. One of your morning sessions until fairly late into the morning. There are some cries from the northern gate, the wall that would lead you out into the road towards the Boneway. And it quickly becomes apparent that the Knights of the Blood Royal and the other troops that were at Vulture's Roost have returned.
The second that it's apparent that that's what it is, Myria is running straight up. She's pushing past everyone. She doesn't even give a shit because as far as she's aware, this is all about coming home. So she's like pushing her way to the front, and she'll be, if she can get there, she's like searching the face of everyone to see if she can see him.
Sure. You're jumping up and like around the crenellations in the wall, and up on that wall with you is a armoured Lord Horatio. Lord Ironwood is with his men, and you can hear him asking, is he with him? Is he with them? Fight someone. And they've got archers on the walls, facing out to the other troops. You can see there's a flank of knights. One of them dismounted at the front. Is an older looking knight. He's taken off his helm. And kind of like balding, but olive skin. And is shouting up that they're the Order of the Blood Royal, they're to be let in. There is some... I kind of play the whole thing, but there is some concern about who is there. And then eventually the topic of Sir Olyver comes up. Is Sir Olyver with them? And they say no, he isn't. But what happens is the gates are opened, but the like kind of scouts, the kind of guerrilla soldiers that they have, as well as the Knights Blood Royal, are filed in one by one. and either side of them are a few of the garrison, kind of checking them in, pretty much. I mean, this isn't, like you don't know necessarily, but this isn't kind of like a routine procedure. This is, you haven't ever seen this happen, and you don't quite know whether this should happen. I mean, they're all on the same side, so
Yeah, it seems strangely hostile to Myria that this would be.
yeah. But presuming that you run down to try and see them file in after standing there behind the guards and seeing these figures file in and horses one by one. So Olyver's face doesn't appear. And there's no obfuscation. There are no hooded men or like people with their visor down, with like a visor to try and obscure their faces. Everyone, in fact, has to like take scarves, hoods, helmets off to show their faces to everybody.
As these men are coming in one by one, and she heard at the top, he's not here. And part of her in her head was like, it's not true. He's here somewhere. He's here. He's here. He promised he's here. And as she makes her way back down, and as the last sort of men trickle in and he's not here, her heart is just in her stomach. It's just bottomed out. And she's trying to hold her expression as best as she can to not show that, where the fuck is he? Sort of panic, fear, she's trying to stem any sort of tears that sting in the corner of her eyes as she's trying to maintain that posture and not show the like, where is he on her face.
A face that does catch your eye, though, and it is a point of eye contact, is the older knight who was shouting up from the outside the keep, and he's got a helm under one arm, and he is chatting to a couple of other of the knights, Blood Royal, and there's this kind of strange atmosphere as they kind of hang around, but with kind of eyes watching each other a lot of the time. But he takes a moment of eye contact with you, and then he motions to his the people he's chatting to, heads over to you. Daira kind of takes a step forward, just in front of you to your side, and he stays back. He's within like sword's distance.
I put a hand out to Daira and say, "It's all right, Daira."
My lady Casella.
Yes.
It's good to make your acquaintance. Your father spoke to me of you.
Where is he?
I'm afraid he is not here, as he says, kind of looking around him. Perhaps at dinner we would speak more.
And she takes a moment to like look at him and like gauge his face.
Okay. Roll me awareness empathy.
Okay. Oh, I have a dice in that. Oh, good job, Myria.
You got 2 bonus dice from chat as well.
I don't need it. That's a 22. So empathetic.
So he's basically like, your father, wink.
Wink, yep.
Spoke of you a lot, wink. Maybe at dinner, wink. We can talk more, wink.
She's like, of course, sir. Wink.
Yeah, he is. You don't detect any kind of weird untruthfulness or anything like that. Any deceptive qualities. He is trying to be as stealthy as he can socially.
So before she turns and she's gonna, I don't know, I think maybe just take a moment of leave of this courtyard at the minute so she can process everything. She just says, I didn't catch your name, sir.
Sir Francis.
Sir Francis, at dinner then.
It's dinner. And he walks off, and he start actually kind of. You can notice as well. He when he goes off, he then kind of starts talking angrily to one of the garrison sergeants.
She's like, yeah, get him.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Is there anything you want to try and get up to before dinner? Bearing in mind you gave me a little wish list of things.
I did give you a little wish list.
Yeah.
So what has the general sort of mood been like for Myria at Ironwood since Papa Ironwood died and she had a little drama?
I totally had this written down. So it's been a couple of weeks of distance from the family, somewhat. You haven't always dined with them. When you have Lord Horatio and Lord Ironwood and his young wife have obviously been at the top table and have entertained kind of various important but small folk figures around Ironwood, from various guards, employee of the month type stuff, guard of the month, as well as the dining with the maester, still dining with his mother as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've probably been on the top table kind of once, and then kind of tucked on the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then other times actually you've maybe dined just with Daira in your quarters.
Mm-hmm.
People have tended to leave you to your own devices.
Okay. Especially with the return of the troops, Myria is going to seek out Mama Ironwood.
Okay. She is actually found in the Ironwood Solar, and she is she is kind of micromanaging a bit of Horatio's work. Like, the maester is there and he's trying to do stuff, and Horatio's just like, yeah, we're going to do this and this new thing and this other thing, and Mama Ironwood's that they're having an argument about this kind of managerial process, I guess. But yeah, so the vibe very much is that Lady Ironwood, or now kind of like Mama Ironwood, I guess, to make the distinction, is she's still trying to manage the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that kind of like, oh, I've done this for years, I can do it, I can still do it, I can, not quite letting go.
It's the transition period that's never going to end.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't.
Is that too close to home sound?
I know I joke this was Brexit the musical, but please don't. I'm done now.
Oh yeah. Oh, bad choice of words. Okay, so Myria, again, very much like the first time, she's going to very lightly knock on the door frame.
Okay. I guess they all kind of just look at you like, what?
Oh wait, are they all in there?
Yeah, there's like the Maester, Horatio,
Mama
Ironwood.
Shit.
No,
I want to get her alone, man.
No, but backtrack. Okay, so they're all in there. I think eventually he just kicks her out then.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in the corridor.
Okay.
Having had the door closed behind her.
Myria's doing that thing where I imagine like this corridor maybe leads off to like a little courtyard or something.
Yeah, nice.
And Myria's kind of just pretending she's just sat out there, definitely hasn't been waiting for somebody to leave, or the two dudes to leave, or Mama Ironwood to leave. And as Mama Ironwood is shut out, she'll be like, "My Lady Ironwood."
Casella, how are you?
I'm all right. Yourself?
I am well enough.
Maybe walk?
I have nothing else to do.
So Myria's gonna walk up next to her, and she's gonna be quiet for a little bit. She's doing this whole like, oh, this is definitely a walk, and I don't have ulterior motives, but I definitely do. And she says, I'm no doubt sure that you're aware the men have returned.
Yes.
And that my father wasn't with them.
No, that is strange.
Yes. I'm quite worried.
She's not offering anything really. She's kind of lost
Mhm.
in her grief.
Mm-hmm. And there's another quiet pause, and Myria is like clearly like chewing on her lip as this is very difficult for her to say. I just want to say how sorry I am for everything that's happened. For the loss of your husband and for my behavior.
It'll be difficult for us all to change. I can understand. Maybe not the way you went about it, but I can understand the sentiment.
As well, it was rude. It was impolite. It was horrible. And I'm so sorry.
Do you make me a persuasion test?
Yes.
Unless you're not genuinely sorry, in which case make a
No,
perception test.
she is genuinely sorry. Can I charm to this?
This is charm.
Yeah. I'm going to use a bonus dice on this too. Just to make sure. 13.
Very nice. Oh, you can use one of those bonus dice from chat?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, gotcha. Cool. All right. Yes. So, thank you. What would you do now?
I honestly don't know. I would hope that I could be as useful to you as I can. I have nowhere else to go. I have no one else.
Just OC very quickly. She knows who you actually are, doesn't she?
Yes.
Because this was a play against Horatio, not against. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So she asks. Yeah, she asks. No one home to come get you.
It would probably be ill-advised, considering the circumstances of my leaving.
My child, I do not want to advise. Perhaps trying to make amends with the Targaryens would be best.
As in their eyes, I'm a traitor. And when have you known them to be kind to traitors? A half-Danish one at that.
His Grace is the good. Known as the good. He is merciful. He was merciful to many lords throughout the Seven Kingdoms.
He may be, but that was not the dragon that I was taken from.
Then perhaps it is the king who you need to convince.
And how would I achieve that?
We would need to go to King's Landing. We would need to petition him there.
We?
Forgive me, I was entertaining a suggestion.
There's a little smile there. And she says, no, don't apologize. I fear I've spent so long on the run that any sort of suggestion to the contrary is frightening.
I do not know what I would do in your position.
I honestly don't know what I have done. It's all been a bit of a blur. I thought things would change and things would get better once Well, and she looks off really distant.
Yeah. You seem a woman, grown beyond your years now. I did not know you before, but I know young ladies, and I see a woman in you now.
I think Myria smiles at that. There's some recognition there, some sort of like respect in there. And she nods and she smiles. Thank you. In the meantime, is there anything I can do to help you here? Please, anything. I just want to be useful.
Perhaps we can keep each other company.
I would like that.
I am going to move it along a little bit to the because you've sown some good seeds there, I think.
Yeah.
To like the dinner, where I mean, you're kind of down on a trestle table somewhere in the hall, further down towards the frickin' small folk kids and the dogs. At this point, probably.
Sick. Love it.
Yeah, you're at the mucky end, or the boardy end, and eventually Sir Francis sits down opposite you with a flagon of ale.
And she says very politely, Sir Francis.
Can I tell you a secret? I fucking hate wine.
But why?
I just don't like it. Do not have the palate for it. Ale. Ale is good. Try some. He pushes his flagon towards you.
And she's like, oh, not again. Why do old men keep trying to give me alcohol? This is weird. But she's very polite and she takes it and she'll take a very small sip. I don't think she likes it.
Okay.
Nobody likes their first taste of beer. She's like,
not really.
She pushes it back. I don't think ale is to my taste. And then she takes a little sip of the wine she has.
Yeah, very well. Let's backtrack, just rewind it just a little bit, because I just thought of something very clever.
Oh.
As he hands you over the flagon, you grab the handle, and tucked in the handle is a letter. Like kind of wrapped up in it.
Okay, is there a way for me to like slip that out to do it like quite incognito?
Stealth.
Oh, cool. One of my best stats.
No, wait, this is a skill I never use. Thievery.
Okay. Oh, cool. Famously good at thievery, Myria.
Everyone's always shit at thievery. No one ever takes a dump stat.
Yeah. Okay, I have one bonus dice left. I'm gonna use that. Let's use that bonus.
I think this is almost literally the first time I've asked for a thievery test. Almost ever. 6 is alright. You fumble a little bit around the thing, as you have to like hold the cup up to your mouth for a while to get it out.
Oh Jesus! I look like I'm going glug glug glug.
And then like the mouth afterwards is a bit like, no, didn't like it. Yeah. But you've got the letter. You can engage in some small talk. In the meantime, he's quite good at this. Like, he doesn't make it obvious. He's just like, okay, bye then, and off. Like he leaves it a few minutes. Like he's just checking on you to make sure you're okay, and he has heard about you, and your dad talked about you quite a bit, and just I want to make sure because he's not with us that he's okay. But he doesn't allow you to start asking anything. It's just like at that point he is like, okay, bye then.
Yeah. So Myria likewise is not a dum-dum and being slipped this letter. She's not going to immediately get up and leave as soon as this dude leaves because that's really suspicious. So she's going to stay, she's going to eat a little bit more of her food, drink a bit more of her wine. And then, after like a good 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes later, she like excuses herself.
Sure. All right. Where would you like to open this letter?
She goes back to her quarters because she knows that's like her space.
Sure.
She's not going to get bumped up.
Yeah. Oh, that has been your space.
Mhm.
Actually, that's the one thing that hasn't really been kind of weird or breached or whatever. Daira enters the room shortly after you do. Asks, "Milady, is there anything the matter?"
So Francis slipped me this letter. I think it's from Olyver.
I can leave if you'd like.
No, I would like you to stay.
I mean, she closes the door behind her,
Mm-hmm.
and then she sits down on her bed, and her bed's nearer the door as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna just look it over, just check it over before I open it up.
Oh, for sure. It's fairly hastily put together. I don't think there's a seal on it.
No.
No. And it is in the scratchy handwriting of. Well, actually, it's got quite nice handwriting of Sir Olyver, but it's you can tell it's been penned in haste or in kind of rough conditions. But these are his words.
My daughter, I hope that life in Castle Ironwood has been kind to you and Daira. My thoughts have been with you every hour since I left you, and I keep your silver locket close to my heart. The Battle of Vulture's Roost was bloody, but the Ironwood men won the day through bravery and dedication to doing what is just. We were betrayed by Houses Peak and Oakhart, who looked to ignite a war with Dorne. Though I thwarted their warmongering efforts and defeated the Vulture King's army, Lord Gorman Peak unjustly killed Lord Blackmont while he was helpless and captured. I was unable to save Edmund, but I did avenge his craven murder and put an end to Lord Peak's attempts to stir insurrection. You are my very heart, and I miss you dearly. I cannot return, as the deaths of Lord Blackmont and Lord Peak have further complicated our situation. But soon, very soon, I will return to you, and should the stars be willing, I will bring with me my new wife and our adopted family. And Myria, the last words of the letter would probably strike very familiar to you. Until we meet again, be safe, be clever, be strong, be just, and most of all, be free. I am yours until there is no music left in the world and the sun turns black. Olyver.
So I think what Daira sees is Myria reading this letter, then rereading it, then reading it again, and then there's like a choked sob that catches in her throat. And she kind of looks up and says, "My uncle is dead." And the dream, he said this in the dream. Daira, I think something's very wrong.
She just goes to hug you.
Yeah, I think Mary just like falls into the hug and subs it out a little bit.
I don't imagine that you're much taller than each other. That she's much taller than you, in a way. Even though she might be kind of quicker, sprightlier, she's not necessarily that much taller, and so it's more. What am I trying to say this in the right way? But it's more. It's rather than like it's kind of like motherly. It's more sisterly.
Yeah.
You know, I think. She takes as much time as you need.
I think after a while, Myria sort of pulls back again and she's, what are we going to do? If my uncle's dead, then we can't go to the king, and there's no proof, there's no nothing, what am I going to do?
Did Olyver say anything else about what Lord Blackmont said, or what the vultures were? I don't know.
There's nothing. There's just Lord Peake killed him when he was already captured, and then I think Olyver killed Lord Peake.
I guess that does leave us in a more difficult situation as well.
If the Lords of the Reach and Dawn are killing each other, what does that say, Dara?
It's the flint and steel to the tinder blocks of war. The Reachers, the Stormlanders, and the Dornish have fought for centuries. This could very easily become something much bigger than just trying to prove your innocence. I'm sorry, I don't mean that in a shallow way. I just mean there's more to this. Hundreds, thousands dead.
And Myria nods, and there's part of her that she almost mouths because of me. I need to see him. I need to talk to him. I need to figure out what our next step is. He's not here, Darren. He promised he would be here.
I'm sorry. Whatever you decide, I will follow.
I need to speak to. I don't know. I think I know where he is.
Where?
He said in his letter he'll bring with him his new wife and our family. I think he's at Fox Hollow.
Do you think we could get a raven there? Perhaps do you think we should just go there?
He told me not to trust the Maester. But can we just leave right now? Horatio is there, mounted with guards in armor, ready to strike him down if he came home. But maybe we should just go and tell him what's happened. He doesn't know Horatio's here. He knows nothing. If he comes back, would Horatio just kill him?
I don't know what's happened between these two, really, or between Sir Olyver and what happened to his family. But we can get out. I'm sure of it.
Do you think you could get us through the mountains?
I've been around the Stormlanders side of the Red Mountains a few times. But it's different here. Maybe. Whatever you decide.
Maybe I should stay here. If he's already on his way back, what if we miss him in the mountains and... But Lady Helena is already talking about going to King's Landing and going before the king. I don't feel like we can do that now. Not now. Not with the deaths of Lords of
you weren't in a stronger position anyway, and this just makes matters worse.
This is bad, Dayer. This is bad. I think we should go.
Do you have any other family anywhere? Anyone we can call on?
My mother's family were Blackmonts. But I'm sure if I showed my face now, the reason for their father's death.
If Lord Blackmont wanted to protect you, and you told that to his son, I would guess, or his wife, your aunt, would she believe you?
I don't know. I would hope so. We did send the raven to them to warn them.
We did. Was anything mentioned in the letter from Olyver?
No.
So the Blackmonts weren't there?
I don't know. I don't think so. There's nothing written there in the letter. Just about Lord Blackmont himself.
If I was the Blackmonts, I would have mobilized. I'd have at least sent some knights to try and secure him or something. But maybe we were too late. Maybe they were too late.
Do you think they would have then just gone back to Blackmont?
I don't know. If your house was now in Makar's sights, it's the house of a traitor, someone who'd taken one of his wards. Do you go after them?
If Makar's reputation is anything to be believed, then yes.
Or perhaps send knights after them to question them, to parley, to capture them. Something.
Perhaps if we approached from the south, Blackmont is south of Greenmont.
Hmm.
On our way to Fox Hollow, maybe we could see if my aunt would speak to me.
We could. What I do know is that we are going to achieve nothing by sitting here and speculating.
Hmm.
There is one other remote option.
And that is?
Blackfyre.
Is that such a...
The docks aren't far. Tyrosh is the closest of the three cities to Dawn.
But what would I have to offer? I'm nobody. I can hold a dagger properly now, I guess.
I could only hold a dagger properly a few years ago.
Daira, I'm no killer. I'm no soldier.
You don't have to be a soldier.
What would I be?
Spy?
We had this conversation once already.
I remember the circumstances being a lot different.
Somehow it feels like I'm on the other side of the bars this time.
She she smiles and then immediately has to
Yeah,
contain
like a-
herself again. Yeah.
That is far away. They would have to cross the sea to get us.
And you would have an army around you.
I don't know if I like that plan.
It's fine. Why don't you get some sleep? Try to. Just rest. You can talk again in the morning.
And Myria sort of like extricates herself and gets herself into bed and does not sleep.
Yeah, fair. Alfred, we are going to head back to you.
Okay.
You were making your way to the kitchens, weren't you?
Yes. Yes.
So, with Briar leading you there, Lady Marcia is with you, and you head through the kitchens into one of the back pantries. And there, sat with an empty plate, finishing up some slices of apple, sits your mother. A little more bedraggled than usual. She looks tired.
He'll step forward, his lips dry and his throat very dry, and he'll just go, "Mum?"
She looks up, and after that second of realization, she shakes with emotion as she stands and immediately starts to bawl and break down. She calls out your name a few times, but she is just in that kind of quivering shock as she approaches you, and she's approaching you very willingly, and she wants to embrace you and stuff. It's not like a kind of oh my god kind of thing. She's just she's just racked with emotion.
As she approaches, he's going to very carefully kind of put his arms around her and go, "It's okay. It's okay. It is me. I'm okay."
And Marcia, with her eyes, is going to order anyone in this room out of this room.
Okay.
Including Briar. And then she'll kind of step out. But I think she's going to hover in the doorway. Just in case this woman collapses. Because it's quite the fright. And I don't think she's ready to take her eyes off of Alfred either.
Yeah. For sure. As she eventually stops shaking, but keeps you close as she sits in this pantry.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to have worried you, Mum. I didn't mean to.
It wasn't your fault, she says.
No, I guess not. What did they tell you?
That you died in a battle, a Blackmont.
Yeah, we went in to try and help a village under attack. Kind of stupid, really.
With her hand still quivering, she traces, or she goes to trace the scar down the right side of your face.
It hurts as she touches it, but he lets her do it. He lets her do it.
It's a very faint touch, and as her hand trembles down it, she's shaking a little bit again, and she's sobbing as she does so, as you explain.
And well, I got injured and woke up far away. This is why it's taken so long for me to return. Are you okay?
She doesn't really answer, but she kind of lets out one little laugh in between the sobs, and just kind of keeps sobbing a little bit as she kind of grips your clothing a little bit, needing you a little bit. Like it's just as kind of, you're still here, you're still tangible.
Yeah.
And you can hear her kind of quietly muttering as well, stuff like like the gods have brought you back to me and stuff like that. But she just kind of still processing that, and she still repeats a little bit of that as well.
At that point, while she's doing that, after she's finished and she's kind of calmed down a little bit, Alfred returned to Marty and, excuse me, my lady, but would it be at all possible if I had a moment alone with my mum?
Marcia kind of takes a breath and nods and kind of takes the further, like the half step that's left, and then closes the door.
He nods in thanks and he turns to her and he kind of goes down, sits down again at her level and takes her hand. And Mum, they all know who I am.
How do you...
Sir Olyver told me. Before I
told you what?
That Lord Lucas was my father. Is it true?
She holds a shaking hand up to her mouth, and then she slowly nods.
And he closes his eyes and kind of nods. You don't need to tell me how it all happened. That's okay. But I never really knew him. What was he like?
She says, I loved him. In between the sobs, and we grew up together. I was a local girl in Fox Hollow, and he was growing up, and growing up together, we fell in love. But with all the politics and responsibility, he needed to take a wife, so he did. It became very distant, very difficult. I still stayed in the village. Became a servant, working the kitchens, working the hall. I don't really remember why, but then he started taking an interest again. And then you arrived. And he was ashamed of it. Not of you, but I can imagine it can be complicated.
He nods and he kind of holds her. You don't need to tell anymore.
She's like crying through saying this next bit as she's again kind of shaking a little bit but she looks into your eyes and she says, he bought us off, Alfred. He paid for us to leave. all that money I saved, all that money is at home. It's all there. I wanted a different life for us, completely different life. But I didn't know where to go.
So you went out into the wild.
He would sometimes visit. You have met him a few times when you were younger, but he stopped coming around about your third name day.
He'll kind of hold her in close, and he'll say, "Thank you, Mum, for everything you did for me." And he'll kind of, as a child rests his head on a mum's shoulder, like kind of cushion in, he'll do that. He go, "Apparently everyone knows that now, that I'm his bastard." What does that mean? What do I do?
It means you're his last remaining son.
Sorry, I couldn't. We're in a chase. Sorry, okay. Okay.
You're his last remaining son here at Fox Hollow.
There we go.
See, I corrected it.
You did correct it. You did correct it. And he'll just start to weep, and he's like, I don't know if I can do this, Mum. What I've been through, everything. I don't know if I can be the man they want me to be. What my father wanted me to be.
Let's go home, eh? Let's just go home.
He'll sigh with tears running down his eye. And I am home, Mum. And I have a duty to do, no matter how hard it is. I didn't lose one father. I've lost two. Sir Olyver, he taught me what it was to be a knight and to be a good person. And if in his memory and my father's memory, I cannot back away from this. I have to do what's right. I have to stick with Lady Marcia. I am sorry.
And to round tonight off, we are going to go back to Mara briefly. As the horses are stabled up at Highgarden, you are back here in the grand white castle of the Tyrells. Little gardens all about, mummers and singers on every corner. And you make your way to the guest quarters. V, I don't want you to make a 1d6 pregnancy roll, because your moon's blood has not come this month.
Is this only something she discovers and kind of realizes once she's there?
Yeah. You essentially think that you're late, just maybe a bit late, but then it's now been a while. For the sake of timey-wimey, you realise that this could be it.
I think possibly the first thing she does is finds Alistair.
Mm-hmm.
And if she can't find him, she'll sit in the guest quarters until he comes looking for her, because I imagine at the
it's
moment,
much more dramatic if you're like racing through Highgarden
yeah.
trying to find him.
But I imagine that's what she does. Maybe she has this realization, she's sitting there brushing out her hair, getting ready, and it kind of, she has a moment where she turns back to the bed to look at something, and it dawns on her. And she very quickly finishes her hair, probably doesn't even finish doing her face, but just makes herself look presentable, and gets up and just goes looking for him. I assume that with everything that's gone with the two of them, she would probably know where he is.
Yeah, so he told you he was going down to see if he could get an audience with Lord Tyrell at his solar.
She will head in that direction. She doesn't want to intrude if he's in there, but she will go down there, and if he's waiting outside, she'll grab him, but if not, she'll wait for him to come out.
Stood outside, he and Sir Samwell Tarly are speaking to a slightly shorter woman, but with long, rich red hair, and is you recognise from before, having been here, this is the Lady Desmera.
She won't interrupt. She will make herself kind of known and obvious. She will greet everybody, but she's gonna keep her distance from the conversation. And wait for Alistair to finish.
Alistair is just telling her the bit, like what he said to you. Well, this is what he thinks is going on. She needs to know.
It pains her to hear him retelling this, because she hasn't quite forgiven him. She's resolved herself to the fact that she has to somewhat stand by him, and that, like, she can't, she doesn't think Alistair should believe that Olyver was guilty on the word of one man. She also knows that she can't necessarily tell her husband that he's wrong on that same premise. She's hoping that at some point while they're here, something will be revealed that will prove it either way. But once that conversation kind of ends, she'll go up to him, not say anything, just put her arm through his and kind of guide him away a little bit further down the corridor, excusing herself to the Tarly boy as she takes him, and she'll kind of stop once they're a distance away and say, "Did you mean what you said the other night when we were on the road? You won't lie to me anymore. You won't keep things from me, and you'll do what you can to make this right."
I promise.
And she takes his hand and places it on her stomach. "Well, if you really do love me, Alistair, then you'll try not to wage any wars in the next 9 months." And she just looks at him and waits for him to click.
His face just drops with like surprise and delight as he like kisses you, like probably like picks you up and whirls you around, and then it's like, "Oh shit, no." But yeah, he is elated.
"So please try to avoid riding off to any more battles or getting mixed up in God knows what while we're here. Please, for my sake, for our child's sake." And she she just holds him close, and she just needs comfort here. She's scared.
Roll me that persuasion test with I don't know, a specialty, but also
let's see.
you've got that bonus dice from the marriage quality destiny doodads.
Sorry, persuasion, right? I don't know whether this would be like charm, because she's using this positive thing to kind of positively influence him, rather than convince.
I think you're more trying to convince him of not doing this thing than you are really just be like me. You're being like, don't do the stupid.
That's exactly what she's saying. Don't do the stupid. Actually keep your promises.
You have a test die, a bonus dice in chat, from chat.
Okay.
And you have this bonus dice from the marriage.
I will use the one of the bonus dice from chat, and obviously the bonus one from marriage. So
okay,
let's convince. So it's 2 bonus dice, no penalty dice, and then there's some other pluses and minuses. It's been a while.
That's got 19's fine. I'll take it. Okay, he promises.
And she just hugs him. She's a little bit scared. She's scared that now that they're back in Highgarden, and it's like, it's in this moment, it's running through her head, they're back in this dangerous place of whispers. She saw the games that Simon was playing, and knows, it's not, this isn't necessarily a safe place. It's safer than on the road.
Yeah.
But and she's fearful, and I think he would realize that from the fact that like her hugging him is not like this joyful thing. It is, I'm pregnant and I'm afraid you're going to leave me. I'm afraid you're going to lie to me. I'm afraid that you've got caught up in something.
I think that expression, like as you're hugging him and your face is kind of starting to be buried into his chest, is the perfect finishing shot of season 2.
Does it then pan out to the Tarly boy? Just the tinfoil in Virginia.
Just on his Todd. Just like... No, it's an extreme close-up shot of your face, petrified. What could happen?
Yeah, you should be afraid.
That is where I would like to wrap it up, folks. Between us players, if there is anything that we desperately missed, I apologize, and if you want to figure out after in the next couple of weeks or so, we can. And then I think what we're talking about, folks, is a bit of a time skip. So I'd like to figure out how long that would be and where we would be.
10 years.
I mean, 9 months probably, right? But cool. All right. Fabba-dabby-dozy. All right. Thank you, friends. That was a kind of meaty doobie, right? Oof. Okay. Let's go round, have a nice chat to people. Make sure we're all good. Jason, I know there wasn't a lot for you this week, but you certainly got the right people to the right places.
Which is good enough, I suppose.
It's kind of pivotal at points.
Just kind of. But yeah, no, that really great. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
A good job all around. Hats off to everybody. Honestly, it's a time.
Yeah. What time? It was a time.
Yeah, especially introducing the last son of Greenmont. No.
I corrected myself.
Corrected. It's fine.
I meant like last eligible.
Fair enough. At just Jason, please, on Twitter. Go. Everybody have fun.
All right, Charlie. I know we missed a little bit of your planning. I apologize.
All right.
There's a lot of very, very in-depth chatty moments there. A lot of juice.
My stuff can go on in the background.
It's a lot of fruits.
All good. I'd like to point out there are still 2 more Greenmont babies, but I guess she doesn't know about them.
Yeah. Plus, who's next in line? Arguably.
Still my children. They're legitimate.
Yeah.
Until I declare this house Dornish, at which point it will be Myria.
Yes. I guess.
But we will see what happens. We will see who survives this time skip and what happens during it. That was super fun. We had so much to cram in today, and it's a lot of players with a lot of story, but it was super cool that we finally half answered some big questions that have loomed in the house's tinfoil of history. Yeah. Just at Frost from Fire, at Encounter Roleplay, we do stuff all the time. I do stuff all the time. Come check it out.
Cool.
Come Friday, tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Charity stream.
Yes.
Mermaids.
Yes. Definitely do that, folks. Alrighty. Susie.
Hi.
Oof.
I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to punch Alistair Oakart in his big stupid face. So I'm just going to hug my emotional support vulture for a little bit and process these feelings. This was a lot, but a very good episode. Thank you, Matt, for I think we called him Bertie, the vulture.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, holy shit. What the fuck was this episode? My feelings. Everybody just came for my emotions today.
I'm sorry, Don and I were conspiring.
You bastards. It's like, Don, is this you getting me back for that one flashback we did, you bastard?
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, crinkle, crinkle, my friends. Crinkle, crinkle. That tinfoil, she's working overtime today. But yeah, oof. It's at Susanna Grace on Twitter. I also do things. Tune in on Encounter Roleplay tomorrow, where I'll be very gay, but fake gay because it's me. Yeah.
Cool.
What was super funny was like 3 times during that show, Susie and I definitely exchanged a look
We were like-
virtually. Like, did you? Mm-hmm.
Did you fucking?
I feel like that was a lot about Tom.
A little bit.
Tom,
Yeah.
do you care to answer for your crimes?
I've no crimes whatsoever. No crimes. He's the most pure and innocent person about the bunch.
Sure.
No, I had completed an objective. I got home.
Congrats.
I've actually completed an objective. It was great. Introduced his mother.
That was
and
cool.
a little bit. She's a pretty awesome person. She is. I mean, she essentially raised Alfred on her own. So
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. And a little bit more about how Alfred came to be with the birds and the bees. But yeah, it was really good. Really, really, really good. There's so much tinfoil. I don't have enough. I don't think there's enough tinfoil in the world for this episode. At one point, I think at one piece of tinfoil is actually starting to move into fact now. I'm already there on that fact. But yeah, great. Absolutely adored it. Loved it. I can't wait for next season. It's just going to be an absolute blast. But yeah, you can find me Redundant UK on Twitter. Yeah, that's it. That's from me.
Cool. All right. There was a fair bit to pack in as well for you, V.
Oh boy.
We got some.
Yeah. Wow. That was it's taken me this long to really try and figure out what Mara would do.
Yeah.
Mara might be awful, but I still love all of you.
Fair.
Look, Mara might have to stick by her husband, but she doesn't want any harm coming to anybody else. Like, she's gonna grieve for Olyver in her own way. And if Alistair doesn't like that, he can suck it. But
well, if not, I've got some other
she
things you
kind
can
of feels-
suck. So
Sam, we already know that I support this, okay?
we all support
Yeah.
it. That's why.
And look where it's ended.
Yeah, I the other fake bi person here, support this. But yeah, But on the upside, there is a potential heir. It's going to go horribly wrong because Charlie's done some wonderful blood magic. But I feel like this is possibly the only thing that could have made Mara actually happy in this situation. And now even more, she has to stick with Alistair because they potentially have a kid now. That's it. There is no turning back from this. But, you know, if he lies to her again, she might consider running him through with the sword just on principle. But
just sticking with the pointy end, mate.
She might have made a real point about that sword.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I forgot to have her ask is, what if you're wrong? But that'll come up eventually. They'll have an argument.
Nice.
It'll come up.
Nice.
I think that's the only thing.
We could totally have that, though, as that finishing shot of her just being like in his chest, just being like, but what if you're wrong? And then
I think that's her big question, because I think she's willing to accept that maybe he is right and maybe she doesn't know, because the world is awful and terrible. But what if he is wrong? What if she is right?
Genuinely proud of myself for piecing together this stupid conspiracy theory.
Thing is, Mara was already,
because it sounds legit.
Yeah, Mara was already suspicious that something was going on with this, that there was some other motive to this skirmish going out there. So she's like, yeah, I can kind of see why you would think that. She doesn't think he's right. She doesn't really believe that Olyver could, but much as she just told him, you shouldn't have just believed one person, she also just can't believe, like, outright that he's wrong. She has to see something else to prove it either way.
Yeah.
And perhaps it'll come out in Highgarden.
It's such a dodgy thing of the setting too that I love, where it's just be like, yeah, the noble's word is as good as, and like, if they say this person killed so and so, like Caitlin Stark does it. She's just like, this person's bad, and everyone's like, oh, that person, get them.
I think the best point you made, though, was when he was like, yeah, but your word carries weight too. If you said that, then the same thing would happen. If you accuse somebody, and it's like, she's like, oh shit, yeah, that is kind of true.
Yeah.
I can point the finger and no one would think to really question my word until it went to trial. But in that moment where he was just like, yeah, your words carry weight, she was like, so did your vows.
Yeah.
Just like, but I love you all. I'm sorry.
It's going to take some time, V. It's going to take some time.
It's all right. We'll have some time.
I'm kidding.
On the upside, at least he was doing the typical thing where he tried to help and made it worse, but at least he was trying to help. That I believe.
He was fucking not trying to help. I do not believe for a second.
Thing is, I can't see where his personal gain would be in it. I genuinely believe he thought he was helping. He's just an idiot.
And he was mad.
And he was mad.
And racist.
A bit of that too.
Throw the whole man out. Stag in.
She can't now.
Was this a good send-off? You good?
Yeah.
Good send-off?
No, I thought so. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come in and get GM the dream at the beginning. I really liked that.
Love it.
It was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
And also I just enjoyed watching all the stories kind of unravel. And, I wasn't sure, like everybody, like where things go now. It's kind of super tense and it's impressive. And this is a big part of this is you too, Sam. Like you unwound it just enough that now people can move again. And that's really hard to do when things get that tight. So it was really cool to watch. And I'm just glad I got to be a part of it.
Oh, thanks, man.
I know. I will be back.
Yeah, we're talking about other characters.
Yeah, we're talking. I probably, since there's a time skip, I don't know when. I don't know if I'll hop right in, but I'll figure out like the right time for the story. Because for me, it's all about the story. So,
yeah.
But I will be back. Yeah.
Nice, cool. Thanks very much. Is there anything again, like you kind of said at the beginning, but you wanted to quickly plug? What's coming up or anything?
It's not, I hope, fingers crossed, on Wednesday, January 1st at either 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll post about this on my Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter. I'm hoping that'll be our like New Year's epilogue special, our like final episode for May Black Roses Bloom, my longtime Dragonlance campaign.
Nice.
Over on Tales from the Grim. because there's so many people in the cast. I think it's like 14 people or something, and couldn't do it all on like one call. So we've been like recording the scenes one at a time, and then we're going to piece them together and then air them all live and kind of bring it together that way. So I'm really excited. All but one of the scenes are finished, and it's been some great storytelling, and it's been a big part of my heart for the past year and a half or so. So I'm excited to see that wrap up.
Nice. And if you haven't caught any of it before, check it out, because it just goes to showcase Don's storytelling ability as well. And if you haven't, because I am one, check out his Patreon and pledge some bit of money every month, because it's well worth it. I get to game with this man in an incredible Dark Sun game every so often, and it is just the best fun. It's so cool. So yeah, other than that, if you like what we do, check us out around the internet at Follow Black Cats. That's on Twitter, and you can also do that here on Twitch as well, obviously. And then check us out as well at blackcatsgaming.com. At the moment, we're still developing. I'm still staring at class features for Spy Game, and I'm at that annoying point where you're like editing a few words or like changing a little mechanic and stuff, and it doesn't feel as productive as like thrashing out 2,000-3,000 words on something. So it's at that annoying stage, but it's coming together, and I'm really enjoying it. So watch out for news about that as well. If you didn't get in on the actual Kickstarter originally, then late pledges will open. We're just figuring out some finer details of that after a little hiccup, but we should be back on the road very shortly with that. And yeah, thanks very much for watching, folks. We're going to go try and raid someone now. We'll go back to the video, but I always kind of miss this bit and then like forget about it. And now Twitch is going to do that weird thing, which is because it's just updated, where it's going to give you like a blast of sound for no good reason, which I need to quickly mute. Oh, it's muted. That's good. And then I will send us over to somebody else. Does anyone have anything else they can fill the time with before I figure this out?
Did we already?
Sorry, I just want to assure you, you're not the only person that forgets to rave and then does it wrong.
Awesome.
Susie is muted.
Shit, that was great. Never mind.
I just want to say I hope everyone has a happy holidays, whether they celebrate or not.
Yeah.
If you want to hang out, we will be over on Black Cat's Discord, because we're all addicts to the internet and we will be here constantly anyway. Post in your tinfoil. Don't forget, if you're posting spoilers, to use the redacted thing. And thank you all so much for supporting the show. We look forward to coming back in the new year with new tinfoil and juicy fruits and fun.
Yeah, those juicy fruits though.
Oh, so juicy.
So much fruit, very juicy.
Right in the eye.
Right.
A couple of times.
Right in the eye.
Mm-mm.
On that note, guess who we're raiding? Encounter Roleplay.
That's right. We are live with the Unhallowed Metropolis Christmas special with some of my favorite cast and crew.
Stick
the
around.
Hollow.
Yeah. And then we'll be ready to go. We're raiding now. Farewell, friends. Thank you very much for our season 2 finale. It's been incredible. Bye-bye.